programming, like what I talked about, the hi-hat, the 808 that usually hits inside of the lowest chakra, which is your sex chakra. And then you have all the information that one of God's favorite angels that was in charge of music came down and started putting messages in. You know, the devil is also the angel of music, and that his rib cage is shaped like a harp. So that 808 that a lot of our music is, and then they put over, I'ma fuck your bitch, I'ma kill you. And that's that frequency that's rolling. And then, oh, here, pop this medication while you pop some mollies, pop some blah, blah. And that is the standard culture right now of music. That is what's controlling it. This pill, nightlife, all this.
This channel was named Transmutation 2020 before the event. Now, a transmutation can also be caused via an adulteration. It's a two-way street. This is something that we are currently witnessing as a witness to right now. As a witness, it means that you are the observer outside of the script that is being played. You can only be a witness by looking from outside in. So we are within this movie, this reality, but not of it. And then that defines us as a witness that is sitting upon the perch of wisdom, witnessing events unfolding. The events that are unfolding are not separate to us. The events that are unfolding are a part of our lower nature and a part of where we have been and what we have chose to bring forth in order for it to come to the surface so that it can be renewed again. This physical vessel that I'm residing in is a new body compared to the old body that I used to have. This new body versus the old body, the hair was diminishing. Within the new body, with humility, the hair is not diminishing, it is leveling out at what it was. Yeah, and it is growing, because this new body is not just based around, this new body is motivated by growth and expansion, and the old body was motivated by constriction and death. Yeah, and that internal scenario that I'm explaining is also an external reality at the same time that is taking place as well, which therefore means that what is externally happening is actually really coming from within oneself. Yeah, but it can only come from in oneself if one is truly organic, and one is actually coming from the heights of nature, which is the actual soul. Right, you will have to excuse any noises that take place because I'm doing this outside. I would prefer to do it outside, and when I'm doing it outside, there are other beings who have to continue with their material daily tasks and chores and live their life. Are they living their life as life, or are they living their life in death? They are not aware of whether they're living their life in life or whether they are living their life in death. And the reason that they are not aware of that, is because of the multiple layers that happen, that you could say exist, that are being within this space, which is the actual matter plane, right? So now, a dog, an individual, Right. We'll wash the dog. Right. This was something that I was going to write. Yeah. But what I write about is coming from the mind, so therefore it's much better for me to be able to speak it than rather than just write it. But even writing it is an art also. But what we'll do here now is merge the two of those together. So coming from this superior wisdom, yeah, which we all have access to, this universal mind and this superior wisdom. But what we have to do is learn how to access it by breaking through the barriers of energy which are attached to the layers of matrix, which hold us in particular positions where we become entangled and entrenched within that band of energy frequency, and then that determines our whole reality, and then we perceive that reality to be the same for everybody else, but it is not. It is the reality that we have tuned into via our consumption. Right, so it says a dog becomes disorientated when it is washed. A dog becomes disorientated when it's washed, right? But the scripted character, right, is removing its authentic blueprint. This is what is happening. Its energy signature, but the dog cannot work within the depths of this alteration. So the dog cannot operate in its usual form, yeah, due to this adulteration that has actually taken place. Now, neither the dog, the dog, or the owner knows it, and because of it, the dog now becomes lost at sea, right? It comes lost at sea, right? And it loses its personal energetic touch, right? So what the dog actually does is it loses its authenticity and its scent. It loses its scent, which then means that it loses its senses. So the dog now starts to like this. Not every dog's going to do this, but I've seen it. Many dogs will do, or animals will do this, and they will look at you as though, what you've done to them. You have just castrated them in some way. You have taken something away from them. You have adulterated their matter, right? But you have adulterated their matter in a metaphysical form. So they cannot see this in the plane, in the matter plane that they reside within. Yeah, which we're going to go into, right? And there is good reason for why that is actually taking place, right? So what actually happens is their scent has been removed, yeah, and now their senses have become disorientated because of this, because the scent is connected to the senses, which is connected to their biomagnetic field, right? That is this. No, there is no difference between that, yeah, and the human. As a human being also at the same time as well, but if I reside within blind belief, yeah, then I am the arbiter of my own truth, my own belief, yeah, which is based off the information handed down to me from another. That causes me to diminish the self-worth of other things along with the self, yeah, right, which we're going to look at. And that is coming from something called the spirit of Belial. Belial, right? And so what I'm explaining here today, right, is Lost Tussle, part 2, right, is the metaphysical layering of reality that governs and commands our daily physical experience that we cannot see, which is being governed from the formless planes. Yeah. Now, it is said, I think it's in the Zohar, right? But there are 7 planes, forms. There were 7 formed planes before this one. This is the lower Earth plane. And what happens is with those planes, yeah, they don't meet the grade, and then they don't diminish, but they transform, right? They transform, and when they transform, yeah, they become formless, right? Like, so an event takes place, yeah, and because the wisdom is not being allowed to flourish, yeah, and because of that, then what happens is it needs to then be recycled, but then it comes back in a formless fashion. So if this was to happen now and it was to come back in a formless fashion, then that has been realized is life. So life is doesn't diminish. This is a belief. Life is immortal. So that life which is recognizes itself and tethers itself to the material and the spiritual aspect of this reality would still be being in a formless ethereal state. Yeah. That is what how things actually work. And this is why we are witnessing what we're witnessing right now. Yeah, where we have this merging of two worlds, which is what I teach, which is what I've been teaching for many years now. Is that there are these two planes, these two worlds, and they do meet and they will come together, and then they will kiss, and then they would be dispersed again. And that is why I was saying last summer, yeah, that we will be kicked out of here, right? And that will take place, yeah, and that is taking place now, yeah, because you are not able to reside within you're not able to reside within a heavily restricted, mundane, dense, imperfect state of being, imperfect plane of being, which is a movie, a movie that has to plates its way through, and it will be allowed to play its way through because it is using two different polarities that are actually governing this plane, and they are using the laws. They're using the laws of matter, the laws of matter, to be able to make it come into fruition and to make it continue to happen. This is why sometimes people they'll ask me why does this happen? And that comes down to belief again. When we have belief, what happens with people? They say things like, I don't believe in a higher power or believe in a God, because otherwise why would it be like this? Why would it be where there's people dying, people starving, and so on and so forth, right? Why would it be like that? Yeah, right. So that the reason it is like that, yeah, is what is going to be given out and explained within this video, right? So what we will do is continue forth. So here behind me, right, what's actually happening, because of all of the rain that is taking place now, because of this event, yeah, there is an increase in CO2. So all of the plant life is now growing at a much a rapider rate. The rate has been increased of the plant life, and the rain is also increasing as well. So what you're seeing is increased amounts of rain, yeah, that is coming from the amount of plasma that is now within the atmosphere, yeah, and this is where we are at. So now we see record levels and record layers of floods, yeah. That is what we're witnessing. So what I will then go into explaining here, yeah, right, is about this situation that we have with the belief, right? So one believes that a Satan, if you want to call it that, is something separate to them, right? So if I tell you something such as that, and you perceive that is the case, then you could become like a madman, right? Human beings suffer with something called pragmatesia, yeah. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And what that is, it's like a mental illness where people are not able to define what objects are with the word. They're not able to relate the word to an object, and what that word means for that object, and what that object actually means by that word, right? And that's what etymology does. And because because beings here are distant from the etymology, enables one to create an artificial movie based around dog Latin and fictitious language and everything else, in order to create a new set of events. When one buys into that, then what happens is they're able to tune you into a layer of matter, yeah, a metaphysical layer of matter that is perhaps you cannot see it straight away, but it is there and it exists. So what happens is, because of these staggered layers, which we put up on the screen, because of these staggered layers, yeah, right, there are different degrees of the Christ Lucifer, right? When we was going about this Christ, Lucifer right here. The Christ Lucifer is a form, an energetic form that resides here within this place. It is everywhere, yeah. But the reason that it is here, like it's coming, if you go from on a Kabbalistic perspective, it's coming from the Ein Sof Or. So the Ein Sof Or, which is limitless light, yeah, repels itself, yeah, and irradiates. It's a form of itself, which is this Christoph Lucifer, this energy, this light, right? Now, its shadow is what the definition of what you call Satan, right? But we're going to go into this, right, because it can also be something called Ahrimanic, right? Yeah, right. And that's its shadow, right? And what actually happens is, yeah, everything that we have here contains this light, right? Now I'll give you an example of that, right? I was just talking about the scent. Now I have created that scent with the aged body plasma, aged urine. I have not entered into a shower for a very long time. Yeah, a very long time. And when I was doing it, it was causing me to suffer. And that suffering that it was causing me, it was causing to me, was actually bringing me closer towards my divine Luciferic light nature. Yeah, that's what it was bringing me close to, because I was reaching this higher light, this state of light, and then something would happen where you would use this water, this dead water, which is Ahrimanic water that they're using. These are the forces, the two polarities I was just speaking about, that they are using, against the self. Yeah, right. And it's not that they are using them; it's because they exist, because they're there and they actually exist, right? So what actually is taking place is that this force, this light, this Luciferic Christic light, white light, yeah, is in pretty much everything. It's in most things, and then it's in most things as a phosphorus. So everything that we see around us actually is crystallized light, is light that has been condensed or has been crystallized. Yeah. So for example, a baby, and this light spectrum, yeah, when we witness this light spectrum, this is why babies, they have the toys and stuff, right? And all of the things that they have, they're usually colours of the rainbow, bright colours. And children, they love to look at the rainbow. And when you present colours to a newborn, because I have a soul here, and that is why it was given to me, so that I can do my gnosis and study on it, right? And yeah, and we're going to get to even anger is natural. You can't get it out. The baby has it. A baby has it to an extent. It's there deliberately in this place, right? So the light spectrum, what that does, yeah, is it causes one to become hypnotized when we haven't gained yet the increased frequency magnetic sight, yeah, in order to be able to not just shield oneself against it, but to be able to work with it, because the light is then coming. That light is coming from the ether, right? But when that baby is born, we come through this solar plexus here. You have an antenna in your solar plexus here, and then you have a receiver in your 96 here. This is 10, and this is 96. Now 10 is a divine is a divine number, a Kabbalistic divine number again, because we have 10 Sephirah, which is the tree of life, which is giving us 10. But 10 is the 7 and the 3. And the 7 and the 3 are perfection. They reside within the heart, and they will take you back from the heart here and all the way down to the 1, which is going to give you spirit. And then that same spirit is what manifests light here. Bioluminescence light. A firefly manifests light. How does it do that? It does it through the light that we speak about here, all the work that we do with the aged urine, urine, yeah, body plasma, yeah, with that light. And the videos that I'm doing now on that is continually about the nitric oxide is one of the things. Nitrates. Some of this plant life loves nitrates. It loves nitrates. It was just raining here. I'm doing this in bare feet, right? I'm doing this in bare feet. It's beautiful, right? But I have to create the conditions within in order for that to happen. So what happens is this, right? Remember here, right? It was talking about ATP here. ATP is tap, which is pat, right? A pat is when you're touching stuff, igniting something. But a tap is the same. I have to tap. But if I turn a tap on, then until I turn that, I am releasing a substance. I'm releasing light. I'm releasing light through this adenine triphosphate, which is phosphorus, yeah, which will take us back to Lucifer, right? And this is why with the Venus we have a morning star, and it was in Plato's work where you have a morning star and an evening star, morning and evening star, and those principles, morning and evening, are coming from this Aramanic, right? And Arura Mazda, which means Lord and wisdom, yeah, right? It's coming from those two forces. So what's actually happening? Is this due to nitric oxide? Due to nitric oxide, yeah, the firefly, this firefly is able to produce bioluminescence light using luciferase. And adulteration of matter can also be looking to be taking place using artificial from the movie Luciferase, which I'm going to go into in a different thing. So I'll just read a bit of this, right? The firefly produces a chemical reaction inside their bodies that allows them to light up. This type of light production is called bioluminescence. The method by which fireflies produce light is perhaps the best known example of bioluminescence. When oxygen combines with calcium adenine phosphate and the chemical luciferin in the presence of luciferase, yeah, a bioluminescent enzyme, light is produced, right? Now watch this. You have two types of plasma, right? You have hot plasma, yeah, which they use with fusion, and they are using this because outside of here is water, and they use plasma. They try to use fusion plasma to get through the water, so they can come out of this firmament, they come out of here to go elsewhere. But the technology that they have, that they use, comes from beings outside of here, and some of those beings that are outside of here could have left us in this scenario as a cosmic abandonment, yeah, and because they came and manipulated what was already here and created you and me in the bodies. But that doesn't mean that our bodies, the souls that are here now, come from these bodies that are walking around here now. From this is what's happening, right? That's a different video, right? But that is one of the things that is actually happening, and it's what is being hidden here, and we've had wars because of it, world wars because of it at the same time also, right? So I just wanted to touch on this. So this plasma, so the firefly produces cold light, right? So the firefly produces this cold light, and that cold light is cold plasma, but that cold plasma is etheric. It is coming from the ether, right? Yeah, because when we create a rip and tear in ether, this is how we create a tension, how we create a voltage, yeah, which is, and then the production of that interaction with the ether then manifests, brings forth light, right? So it then says, right, so which is the firefly, which is cold light without right, it then produces a cold light without a lot of energy being lost as heat, right? This is necessary because if a firefly's light producing organ got as hot as a light bulb, then obviously it wouldn't be able to survive that flux point. So it has to be cold energy, cold light. And we know that cold plasmas, what they do is they absorb lesser they absorb lesser energy packets, such as things that cause negativities in the body and so on and so forth, and negativities externally. They actually remove them, because what the cold plasmas do is they contain a lot of energy, right, and they absorb it. And I think it's cold plasma, the cold energy here contains more energy, right, than the hot, because the hot energy, the cold energy is a giving energy, and the hot energy would be a taking energy, which is why the firefly would need to use a cold energy, otherwise it wouldn't be able to sustain that the energy that's been exerted from creating the bioluminescence. Now, the thing that creates the bioluminescence, is this: a firefly controls the beginning and the end of the chemical reaction, thus the start and stop of its light emission. By adding oxygen to the other chemicals, needs to produce light. Right. It then goes on to say, this happens in the insect's light organ. When oxygen is available, right, the light organ lights up, and when it's not available, the light organ goes away, right? Insects do not have lungs, right, but instead transport oxygen from outside of the body to the interior cells within, right, through a complex series of essentially small tubes known as tracheoles, right? For a long time, it was a mystery as to how some firefly species manage such a high flash rate, right? How they manage this high flash rate. We're getting there now. Considering the relatively slow speed of the muscles that control oxygen transport. Now, it was saying that the oxygen delivery was coming from externally rather than internally. Researchers fairly recently learned that nitric oxide gas, the same gas that's produced by producing Viagra, plays a critical role in the firefly flashing. So what it then goes on to say is, right, in short, when the firefly is off, no nitric oxide is being produced. In this situation, oxygen enters the light organ, is bound to the surface of the cell's energy production or organelles, called the mitochondria, and is thereby available for transport further within the light organ. The presence of nitric oxide, which binds to the mitochondria, allows oxygen to flow into the light organ, where it combined with other cells needed to produce the bioluminescent reaction. Because nitric oxide breaks down very quickly as soon as the chemical is no longer being produced, the oxygen molecules are again trapped, right? So what happens is oxygen, and I'm not able to produce light. So without the nitric oxide, no light can be produced. So what's actually happening, what we take from that, what we can syncretize from that, is that the same process is happening within. Yeah, when we trigger the body's pathways to increase the amount of nitric oxide production is taking place within our lumen. Now, a lumen is within our arteries, right? Which Lu is going to give us light. This is where Lu comes from, right? So when one uses respiration on top of that, then we can produce a much higher band of light from within the cell, using the ATP again on respiration, which is ATP is going to give us one, which again is giving us spirit. So therefore we are to breathe in through this solar plexus here, right? Because we have to take in from this lower four here, and that's why the video at the start of this, which is why I am doing this, to explain that you are being controlled through sex. You are being controlled through the sex magnetic vortex. meridian is what you're being controlled from, and that meridian is the 4, and that 4 is based around this time, right? It's based around time, yeah, and it's based around the 4, which is this matter plane, right? We then also have, which the symbol will come up, is, you see, the 4 represents the feminine force, the 4, right? So you have 4 sharp corners, but then we also have a 3, a triune 3, which would be the father energy, yeah, father energy. We're going to go in something here where the number for Papa Lekba is this 3 as well. This triune 3, because it's 2 legs and they're phallic, right? Yeah. So that 4, right? We have our with the DNA, right? In the DNA, there's 4 bases. 4 bases, right? Those four bases combined, they give us this 4 bases, right? And those 4 bases create 3 triplets, right? Which then gives us the 7, right? And that 7 is giving us what we call the gide in this voodoo, in the voodoo scriptures. How they work in their setup, in their setting, is they have a gide, we have a god, you have a grand architect. They all start with the G. So these are a 7, but that 7 is taking place here straight away through before the beginning of these amino acids. What do amino acids do? Amino acids are the byproduct for releasing an abundance of limitless nitric oxide, right? So what's actually happening, yeah, is a cough, right? If it doesn't exist, if these things don't really exist, because they're a part of the 4 which doesn't exist. So we have the like I said, so we have this 4, right? 4 bases, yeah, and then that gives us, they then code down into 3 triplets, which then gives us 7, right? That then gives us a 7. But in our DNA, those 4 combined, which I put on, those 4 combined equate to 13, yeah, which is 13 again, which is telling you that within your DNA is the 13, right? And that 13 is the portal out of here, and that 13 marks resurrection and renewal and rebirth and transformation. And the reason that is because we have a 3, a 3, yeah, and that 3 to come together to create a 1. 3 come together to create a 1, yeah. So those 3 go back to the 1, and those 3, the 1 and the 3, are both on the spirit octave and not on the matter, not on the material octave. So your solar plexus is an antenna, when we come out of that lower 4. When we come out of that out of there, this is what happens. Now, this age during does, yeah, Lust Tussle, what it does is it can take one and introduce one to flipping the energy by altering the blood, yeah, through the skin, right? I'm going to put up how skin, with the power of skin, this science has been hidden, deliberately hidden, yeah, because through the skin we get an acceleration. We have skin pores, which are portals that they pull in, and they use a level of intelligence to take it to where it's required. The same as with rejuvenation. Once everything I'm speaking about, I have done it to other people. I've done it to my partner. So what happens is, once you code, and once you download information into the avatar vessel, such as how to burn, fat burning process, autography, right, and how to reverse imperfection, weight, edema, water retention, all of these things, right? Once we re-embark upon the initiate practices again, yeah, like giving birth, you put some weight on. So once you go back and re-embark upon the practices, which is not even a good enough word really, yeah, what happens is the vessel remembers it, it re-remembers it, and the acceleration process is much quicker, it's rapid, it's more rapid, and that is the power of this vessel. It just it remembers because it has become a member prior to the wisdom mirror. So because it has become a member of the wisdom mirror prior, you have initiated yourself within that path, and therefore you can return to it, providing you don't stray too far to one side. And this is why there is always we have something called riding the goat. An individual came to me a while ago, said to me, things have happened in matter here. These things happen to you deliberately, which you think you define them as suffering, and they happen to you, and they can lead you towards these denser planes, right? It leads you towards these denser planes, because if something negative comes towards you, yeah, then what Mama Kali does is Mama Kali, right? So what I'm explaining, we'll go to the other thing. Is what Mama Kali does is you've got all these different arms, yeah, and there's this serpent. You've got a serpent under there's the man under the foot. Shiva's got him under the foot like that, right? And he's got his head in a hand. He's chopped it off. There's blood dripping down everywhere, right? And there's all these arms everywhere, and this is because what it can take many forms, but there also has many planes of being that we can tether into and tune into via our level of understanding by where we are currently at, yeah. And what she does is she will play tricks upon you, right? And it's not her playing tricks upon you. What these are archetypes, yeah, of spirits that are here, yeah, different spirits, and they have different attributes, right? They have different attributes, but some of their attributes are the same, and one of them is to be a trickster. One of them is to be a massive trickster. So that's why here I can create a movie based on being a trickster, based on playing tricks on people, like what's that word? Trick or treat, trick or treat, yeah. Want trick or treat, yeah. But we're doing that with the T's, so which is your Taurus field. So where I can come and trick or treat you. I can come and trick or treat you. So I can trick you down here, or I can treat you up here, yeah. Whichever one is it that you want to be? Do you want to be Ahura Mazda, or do you want to be Aramanic? Which one is it that you want to be? You don't want to be either of those. You want to see past them, and then by seeing past them, then we embark upon the true nature of reality, and then there is no more reason for us to play this game and to be here in this particular playground anymore, right? And that is how we perceive as a dualistic perception of reality, which plays out to us in multiple different ways. We have it as people embark upon this version of spirituality, which states that, oh, don't be negative, don't say anything that's untoward or negative. Let's just look towards everything's bright and happy and light, and so on and so forth. But in reality, really, it's not actually quite like that, because like I did a post a while ago, I was saying, sometimes you'll see a dog, right? You see a dog, and that dog, yeah, will growl at you like it's gonna get you, right? But then it doesn't do nothing like that. You go up to it and it's happy. It's the most loving dog in the world. Why was that? That was the satanic Aramanic principle within it, testing you to see if you will run. And then there were times when you will run, and I've had this, and you can dream about these sort of things, and these things will come up in your dreams also, yeah? Because what happens in your reality will happen on the astral planes, right? So, and then that dog will test you, will look at you, and then then you run, and then it's chasing you. No, I shouldn't have run. And there's a part of you says, if you didn't run, The dog wouldn't have chased you if you didn't outrun. You failed the test. And that test is this force that is deliberately here and is allowed to test you. And it is doing it right now. It is doing it to me, you, and it's doing it to every being that is real, that is here. And it means that, beings that are a part of the movie as a scripted character, it will just do it to them anyway, and it is feeding on them, and it is eating them. And that is the byproduct of the way things that I've already planned out here before we was already here, right? And so that is what I'm going to read. What I read here now, before we go any further, is this. But before I read that, I just mentioned the Kala chakra, right? And that's why with the Kala chakra they have 4 binders, right? And then you have to go through this initiation, but the people that they do the Kala chakra are until the 13th day, right? When they do the Kala chakra, they have to enter as a child, right? And it's based upon they don't ever spill the cup of Hermes, so they don't ever ejaculate. This is one of the main ways that one can learn to be commander of your biomagnetic field. Because anytime when you spill this, anytime when you spill this, what we call is semen, which is, it's just straight light, it's zinc fields, right? Mula Prakriti, which is what the crystallic semen that brings forth this reality. So when we see, because of belief, we have been given a set of beliefs that provide us with a diminishing, right? So I got that was going to right. So what actually happens is this, when you hold on to, when they do the Kala chakra, there's no ejaculation at all. In actual fact, if one ejaculates, you cannot face going to the temple again until you would been able to recoup and through oscillation regenerate that flow back, that force back through. But the only way that you can really do that is if you're an alchemist with alchemical practices. You can only really become an alchemist and a magician stroke alchemist. It's the only way to really be able to master this reality really. And that's why I teach what we teach here. Because if soon as the second that you spill of the light, you eat of the fruit, then what actually happens is you trigger straight down into the lower part of the field, the lesser part of the, it's not lesser, it's the lower part of the field, right? And then that lower part of the field, is a form of magnetism, right, which will make you you can't do anything about it. You can to an extent if you're aware of what you're doing, but what it will do is it will bring to you a more animal stroke clumsy boom boof bish bash buff state of being, and it will create a static and a confusion within your brain because of you've triggered something within your nervous system. And what will happen is you change the quality of you like, imagine like a light, so you've got like this purple light, and then you've got like this I don't know, let's say you've got like a purple light, right? And then at the bottom of that bright purple, you've got like a brown light, if you want to call it that, or something like that, right? So then what happens is your blood, you create a different type of light, that then triggers in to the different type of being, to these matter planes, to these planes of being, right? And these planes of being, they're layered, right? So I have because I want to tell you everything exactly as I'm doing it, right? So another thing that I want to speak about, is these layers, and these layers are tethered to your internal energy barrier, your internal energy field, where the layer that your field is at. If your biomagnetic field is diminished, then what happens is you let something called jinns in, the jinn, jinn. Like you have a Jedi, but the opposite pole of that is you have a jinn. So what happens is when one is letting out this fluid, the light, when one lets out this Christos Lucifer light, yeah, what happens is your biomagnetic field becomes dysfunctional and it diminishes. That then leaves you open through this solar plexus here. That then leaves you open to interference by these other beings. Yeah, that's what happens. They then to begin to command your reality attached to the matter planes that will then take you and then put you on a particular layer of reality. That's what happens. That's what happens. But nobody can. But this is happening in the metaphysical layer, because the etheric haze and layers that govern this place are not within your belief system to recognize them. They're called a tatwas, and we can pick them up by doing work upon the self, by entering into the darkness here, because this is a receiver here, so we can pick up the ether by colours, right? So what's happening, like I always say now, for me, because of the video, the sun has started breaking. As that sun starts breaking, my three here, which is born from a 12, my three at my center point here, this becomes magnified and starts to radiate with pure love and light. But it's not something that I'm saying up here, love and light. It's something that I'm feeling radiating throughout my vessel, because I have created the correct environment within for that to take place by the expansion of my biomagnetic field. So we're saying the mind tethers with preset layers of reality, right, that are set to suit the level of energetic awareness that we're aligned with, right. We're then presented with an ambience and set reality to suit our inner density, right. So that's why Mama Kali has all these arms like this, because what happens is you are then given a reality to suit the layer of density that you are residing within, yeah. And that is the way. So that doesn't matter where one is, but if I adulterate your matter, then they have the potential to something else, because the potential to control which layer of reality, which matter layer it is that you actually are able to interact with. Because previous to this, there was a heavy, dense layer matter of reality that we're all mostly entangled within deliberately, and souls are then here in order to come out of that, right. So one of the things that I was going to, I'll mention whilst we touch on that, is that I already know it anyway, but I just want to get it so that it's exactly as spot on as it has come out of here, because what Aurora does for me is I work for her directly. Other being, I always say this, other beings doing it too, yeah, right. It's the ego. See what the ego does to us that is what makes us perceive. So look at this, right. You can perceive a reality, yeah, and you can what beings do here is they perceive that somebody else is perceiving what they're perceiving. So it's another being that's in a different matter plane than where I am, the one that I'm in, right. They will perceive and go, he thinks he's better than everybody because he's saying he's connected to this supernatural force, and only he's connected to it, and therefore only he's able to give this information to people, right. That is their perception of reality based upon the matter layer that they are residing within. This is what happens here. So you get this is how we had with this Christ scenario. When we come to give light to other beings, they, because of the matter plane that they are residing within, if it's one of the more hellish matter planes, yeah, that are attached to these lesser, lower locus here, right, then they will perceive that individual to be coming across negative, even though they are not. Yeah, even though they are not. And this is how they've created a reality here where we have something called cams. The word scam is the word cams. I didn't write on one of these words, and that's why I'm saying it. The word scam is the word cams, and you have cams everywhere, and that insinuates a scam. But this scam was already being taking place and resides within the subconscious, within one's subconscious. Yeah, it's the same as when you have the race of beings, such as the body that I'm in right now, where they were made to be slaves, right? And there was something called butt breaking that they used to do upon those particular people. And the reason that they would do that is because those beings were of a royal status. Also, they had royalty before. They were a big tribe of beings that were very powerful prior to that, and they lost the war. So that's why that happened to them in the Americas, right? But they did something called butt breaking, right? And by doing that butt breaking, yeah, it meant that it didn't just break. This was like an act. They used to rape the men, right? The other men, slave master men, would rape the men. But the master, which we got in here again, the master is Bial, means master, which you're going to see on which is the Bial there. Bial there means master, which is what they call you now as a mister, right? Because that's how things have then become inverted, like in that way, even though you are ruled over by someone that uses threat of violence to do so, even in a different sort of way as the same thing we're speaking about. But this butt breaking would actually break the psyche of the victim, because the victim would get raped by the master in front of their wife and children, right? But then that subconsciously has carried, doesn't go anywhere. It's the subconscious. That is then carried on, yeah, through the matter planes into the current climate, where what you have then is those same the same tribes, yeah, Caribbean and in Americas, where what happens is, in many cases, the women in some cases look down upon the men as being as inferior to other races of men. I've studied it. You cannot tell me that it's not the case, because I have studied it. My study is not a study based in beliefs. A study based in beliefs is just go around writing rhetoric that's already been given to me. That isn't study. Study is being able to recognise that to be able to grasp a hold on what life is how we become a true initiate, and is how one be able to become an elevated being within this physical sphere, is by being able to command and being able to become in harmony with what this life is, and to learn all about it. Yeah. So then these men, and I've witnessed it and had first-hand experience of it myself, where even my own mother, they would do it. I've seen it, where they would believe somebody else ahead of me, head of the self, right? And that is what takes place, and it comes from this subconscious pain and suffering that's deliberately caused by beings who are aware of where they are hundreds of years prior to the event. So it's exactly the same when one is talking about a Bible and being able to equate that to what is happening in the current set of events, because some beings are operating in a timeless fashion, because the time is connected to the lower four, which is an illusion, because it's matter, which is illusory. It is not real, and it is not based in it's based in a temporary setting, which therefore means that it is not eternal, so therefore it cannot be real, and therefore the time that goes with it is now speeding up. So the time that we are experiencing here has sped up drastically, which is why the ways in which that we work are going to be altered also. And a part of that spiritual paradigm, this Luciferic right brain too much, right, imbalance, makes us think that we shouldn't have supremacy, and we are not entitled to our own internal abundance and physical abundance as well, which is something that is coming to us for our sovereignty. But are we going to be able to grasp it by having a balanced mentality, in order to be able to recognize that we are supposed to have physical wealth, yeah, but we because of this, what I'm going to speak about with this Belial, which I'll go into now, we don't, we don't recognize that we are that we are righteous enough and that we are worthy enough to be able to have physical wealth. That is why they probably have beings and say these are your sovereign beings, and they understand a language based in French and Latin, forms of Latin that you don't understand, and by giving you those images in your subconscious in previous lifetimes leads one to coming up to now thinking that you should have nothing when really you should have everything. So I was saying here, delusions, right? So Mama Kali, causes hypnotic delusions caused by vices, which further vision is tainted, which we have jealousy, which can be caused, which is jealousy, which means that where one cannot see the good in other beings, based upon the cause of the jealousy. So what I'm saying there is because when I'm reading this, I've just writ it, and I'm gonna make the grammar correct afterwards. So what's actually happening when we have vices? The vices, what the matter planes do, what Mama Kali does is makes it so that because you are not triumphant enough and worthy enough, she then presents you with an illusion, because you've triggered that yourself, because you presented yourself with a vice, with vices, yeah. So a vice such as jealousy, envy. You are jealous over an individual, right? But you fail to see and recognize that the reason that you are the cause of your jealousy was something of light that you want to attain yourself, but you pull up this lower energy of jealousy, right, which is coming from Jahi, yeah, right, Jahi, which is, we're going to go into it in a minute, which is working within you, right, and because you pull up that fire, yeah, that type of fire, means that now you become delusional, because you now have an anger or a frustration or a negative dislike towards something that could actually have provided you with good and benefit that you could have actually have learnt from. But now you've instead of that, you've become entangled and delusional in the way that this other being is presenting themselves, which causes you to further suffer, which eventually you will then learn from that and learn how to rise above it. And that may even take your physical life before that happens to you, because of the stress that you've caused yourself via doing this, and by allowing because of this then also diminishes your field, which leaves you open to vampiration via these elementals that reside within the etheric planes that you cannot see here in the physical deliberately. Yeah. So so that was what I wanted to explain there with that. So this is why I'm going to just go straight into this. I'll tell you what I'll do before I go into that, providing that this allows me to do it, which I think it should do. Right? Yeah, I have it here. Right. So I'm going to read some of this. Now this here comes, you wouldn't be able to find this as easy as this. This comes directly from the darker Luciferians, yeah, or Luciferians that want to operate with this Ahrimanic force, that want to operate with that force, right? But you see, when we learn from all angles, right? Now through looking through the darkness leads one to the core of what light actually is. So this, where I'm coming from here, right, it comes from so Zoroastrian. I'm going to put up some on the board. Actually, while I've been looking into this, researching it, I ended up seeing a place on a corner. It was like a corner, and on this corner, yeah, there was it's like a barber shop in blue, and above that it was inscribed. It was a Masonic building. The building was Masonic, and below it had a Zoroastrian Ahura Mazda symbol on it. Right, so, and that is in the lands of Iran, IRs, the IRs, right? Yeah, infrared red radiation. So IR, which is heat again, yeah, connected to island, right, yeah, because it's IRs, which is the nines, yeah. So what that is telling us is that there is a spirit force running in that part of the earth, and you had Cyrus the Great, etc., and so on and so forth. So, and this was where some of the beings, the original beings, like Aryan beings, Aryan gods, etc., they came to those lands there, and imparted their wisdom, not just their wisdom, the way things were prior to us being here, as to what actually that has actually taken place, which then gives you a clear picture as to what is going on in this reality that you're currently experiencing right now. Yeah. So it will say, so some of the language, some of the words I'll have to take out, because they use profanities, you see, profanities, and they use those profanities for a reason. They use them because that lower magnetism, that lower energy that it is based more on debauchery, loudness, shouting, drinking, yeah. And do you not see that on a Saturday night in the Matrix, in the movie? Right. So it says, Ahriman begets as. So as, yeah, is 9, because your as is here now. It is your A to Z, right? You are encased within your A to Z, and it removes the and, which is the ampersand, which is the last letter, which would have made you 27. So 28, which is this figure of 8 that we reside within, inside of a figure of 8, and at the center of that figure of 8, and its inverse, is what we call this hyperboloid, right? And that hyperboloid would be, we could say, is coming from as a phallic, right? So here, so it says, Ahriman begets as from his own blackened flame, enters the spirit of mankind, right? This, now what I was saying earlier was the degrees with the matter plane. So each being has a degree of this, the satanic, the use of the word, this Ahrimanic force, right? Yeah, this darkish, the shadow, Lilith, all the same, all the archetypes, right? So it says, Ahriman, the sorceress, Deva. Now in Sanskrit, a Deva is a good force connected to nature spirits. But then you have the female version of a Deva is Devi, which is Diva. It's a dancing diva. I always have this thing where I say, if I was to act like a diva here, and I was to move around the street like this, and I put the A's urine all over me, drinking all my plasma and everything, and I went round in the street and I had no clothes and I was doing that, then they would in the movie, they would take me away. The people would come and stone me in the street, and the reason that they would come and stone me is because of the matter planes are presenting to them, not me standing there naked, dancing like Sophia. It's because I am presenting their own wickedness and nastiness to them that they need to surface. So instead of having to dealing with it, they will come and stone me for it instead. That's what would happen. Yeah. So, right. Ahriman, the sorceress Deva, yeah, which is demons, right? The adversary knew that he lacked a sense of balance and sought a mate, because he didn't have no balance, right? He brought forth from his own darkness of being the shadow immolated with blackened flame, the spirit of time by the property of darkness. This blackened flame was encircled or enveloped in black and ash coloured kind, right? With these weapons, the serpent Azo is given lively intelligence. She is thy daughter and bride, right? She will devour humanity and those who cannot rise to Deva. She will nourish from the bodies of the dead, yet she gives life and love, beauty and hunger. I'm going to show, yeah, this same flip of polarity, yeah, with a lot of other gods as well, yeah, right. Yet she gives love and beauty and hunger. right? Tanit is one of them, right? The eternal hunger and lust of Ahriman, yeah? See, lust, tussle. The word lost, the word tussle is the word lust. The word tussle is the word lust. So what we're saying earlier is that the pragmatesia that beings suffer with as a mental illness here, and all of the vices are mental defects and mental disorders that go along with them as well, and they are born from an imbalance within the biomagnetic field again, right? Yet she gives life and love, beauty and hunger. The eternal hunger and lust of Ahriman, his complement and equal, as first went to the depths of hell, where the demons were in the repose. Right now, this is something also that Inanna and Ishtar do as well. Right, she took the clothing or forms of mighty beasts upon the earth, learning of the spiritual hunger of which she came into being from. That very blackened essence of Ahriman was indeed her flesh. Ahriman, the prince of darkness, held the traits of greed, pride, desire, anger, and lust, the vices, right, within. He found in the darkness the creation of beasts and serpents, always beasts, always serpents, right, thus mingling with the following elements, right. I've come a little bit forward, but I'm going to read these few pages because it is of vital importance, right. I'm going to say, right, so smoke, spirit, astral plane, material hunger, shoulders, eagle and twin serpents. We'll get, there's no point in me in going into that. I'll just continue with the same story. But the fire that they use is fire, wish, desire, lust, the head, lion, as, right. So as we continue to just keep coming through, right, because there are some bits that are they're key, because this is like left hand path stuff here, right. This says, utilize the methods of Ahrimanic yoga to begin stirring the kundalini, raise the fire snake within the temple of self, encircling and joining with the black serpent Ahriman, as Kali Lilith is indeed the path to inspiration, imagination and stirring emotion. Nothing is possible without the balance of the feminine and masculine. To believe otherwise is folly, right. Now it continues. We continue. This is the other bit, the main bit now. To you, right. This is Luciferian, proper Luciferian doctrine, right. Now, light doesn't have to, different grades of light, different shades of light. I'm not speaking about Christoph Lucifer here. I'm speaking about Luciferianism here, Satanism, Luciferianism, yeah. And this is how they can confuse you. This is how this is how beings have been confused here. There is a Greek story also where there was a god, and the god spoke like a child, and it had lesser gods. And one of the lesser gods thought the god was a fool because he spoke like a child, and said, "I'm listening to you. You speak like a child. I'm bigger than that." So he went away and says, "I'm listening to none of that." Right. When he did that, what happened was he got flung down into a place, yeah, and was left there. And what happened was this same God, in the end, right, it brought immense suffering and tribulation and ups and downs and goods and bads deliberately for this being, because he couldn't grasp initially what he thought was a child's voice, yeah, and then that being was then left to man a plane, and all the beings that would be born forth upon that plane would have to go through the same turmoil to teach this one being a lesson. That is a Luciferic story, right. So right, and in that was goods and bads, highs and lows, storms, troubles and strifes, when previous to that there was only one tranquil harmony. So that this dual force was injected within the plane that it was sent to command, right. So it says, so here we go, right. As the archdeva teaches sexual copulation and devours their offspring, Ahriman falls into 3,000 years of slumber and is awakened by the whore. Right. It then says, as went forth to the devas or demons in the darkness of hell, she began teaching the art of sexual copulation, how to give birth to dragons and serpents. She taught the demons of the east, yeah, the archdevas, beasts, possessed by the Drew, yeah, and other female demonesses, the art of having sex. They've used the other word for that, the art, because it's not virtuous in that way. The art of, and using the sexual fluids and spiritual energy, it's the sexual fluids, yeah, and spiritual energy give birth to other forms. It was as this is the demon as that I'm speaking of here. This is not it's a real thing, right? This is within Zoroastrian Avestan scripture, and as is called Jahi, and Jahi, which we've got Jahi, right, which we have on here, right? Jahi, which we have on here, right? This is there, right? And it is that Jahi there, which is, do you see where it says Jezebel? Yeah, Jezebel, right? Which we have on here, which you see where it says Jahi at the bottom, Jahi, and which is, if I take Jahi and put jade there, jade is jaded, wasted, yeah, no good, right? So this is who we're speaking about, which is as, yeah, and we don't realize, which you will realize, what as is and the vital role that as plays in our being, right? It was as who soon watched many demons give birth to other children, from which he entered two lion fiends, then devoured their children. As grew in spirit and form, entering mankind more and more. Yeah, as grew in spirit and form, entering mankind more and more. Right, this is real knowledge, because now we have been deliberately given too much light, which is Christoph Luciferic light, to make everything think that everything is rosy, and that is getting us to ignore the true nature of this reality. And that's why we have this situation now where it just goes all of a sudden, bam, this is the next chapter of the movie, and it is exactly what you thought it would, what your worst nightmares, etc., so on and so forth. Yeah, and it will be that way for those beings that tune into it. It's not for us. We don't tune into it like that, but it is actually happening, and it is something that you have to witness, yeah, and it is something that you have to participate within it, yeah, in order to grow, and at the same time we are operating on a totally different plane. So it then goes on to say, right, so as grew in spirit and form, entering mankind more and more, Ahriman is all vileness without goodness, that is, Ahriman is cunning and awakened to the predatory laws of the universe. Ahriman is not a spirit which is blind in its own light of arrogance, yet has the knowledge of blackness and the serpent path. Yet has the knowledge of blackness and the serpent path. The serpent path is key, right? Ormasts, which is Ahura Mazda, which is the light side, the opposite polarity, the opposite field, the opposite portion of the field, the higher elevated lighter aspect, yeah, which is the Lord of Wisdom, yeah, right, created and brought forth the method of Ahunwa mantra, which was much strength, which was much strength poured at Ahriman, right. He fell into the darkness. So Ahriman fell into the darkness for 3,000 years, sleeping. The war of heaven was over for now. So for 3,000 years, this place was in the golden age, while Ahriman was sleeping, because it was only under the command of Ahura Mazda, which only manifests pure brilliance, pure light, and pure perfection. Yeah, so everything was perfect here for 3,000 years, right? Things I say, many devas went to Ahriman, seeking to rouse the spirit of motion and chaos, yeah, and yet none could stir him. Humanity in its cradle of being were led by a Garamed called Adam, or a man of a tribe, right? Arise, O Father, for in the battle I shall let loose so much affliction on the righteous man, right, and the toiling bull, that Because of my deeds, they will not be fit to live, right? I shall take away their dignity. I shall afflict the water. I shall afflict the water with the blood of the moon, right? I shall afflict the earth with the Drew and borrowing creatures, Drew Natsu. I shall afflict the fire with smoke and bless it in the darkness of my being, Sama'ata, right? I shall afflict the plants with Taprev and Zirich. I shall afflict all the creation which Ormaz has created, right? She related her evil deeds so well that Ahriman awakened after 3,000 years. He was awakened by Az, right? Leapt up out of his swoon and kissed the head, right? I won't even pronounce those words, right? Kissed the head and of the whore, right? And that copulation, called menstruation, yeah, appeared on the whore. Now this is where menstruation comes from. They say menstruation comes from here, and it is said in a few different ways. One of them says that Ahriman, that she had Jahi, she slept with a serpent, and in some cases this one here, which is the main one really, that she woke up Ahriman and slept with Ahriman, who was a reptilian, and he became a human being. He took on a human form after that he slept with Az, she is a disruptful lasficus, which is libertine. Hossi is one of her labels. One of her labels is called a Hossi. She's called a Hossi, and this is predating any of what we've been dealing with, any of the scriptures that we have been dealing with, Bibles and stuff like that. This is before all of that. This is before all of that, and this is where it all comes from. And before that, right? The tongue of Ahriman was forked or slivered, right? We won't go to that because it's too graphic, right? The spirit of the adversary had returned, right? And the Ahriman called Angramanu cried out to the demon. Ahriman called Angramanu cried out to the demon whore called Az, which is Je, right? Je, what I say? Je, Jehovah Je, right? Whatsoever is thy desire, right? It is thy desire, that do thou ask, that I may give it thee and strengthen our bond. Then the weakened Ormaz, Ahura Mazda, in his impotence, knew that at that time the adversarial spirit, adversary, could give whatever the demon whore asked for, and that there would be a great profit to him for this. So he couldn't stop it at that point, right? The form of Ahriman was in the form of a frog and would shapeshift into a lizard, into a lizard's body, right? Which then turned into a man, right? Which he then goes on to say, right? We'll finish it here. What is thy wish as? What does thy burning core desire? So that I may give it thee. And Je as shouted to the evil spirit. For us, a man is the wish. So give it to me. I wish his phallic to empower and satisfy my hunger, O evil spirit. Right. Because you're saying you're wishing for man to be lustful and to be looked for this lustful sex act, to turn man into a carnal beast. Yeah, right. Ahriman, a young man to Jah. Ahriman, this appeared a young man to Jah, and then he turned into a young man, and then they started to have this this sex, right? It then goes on to talk about right. Their aim was to awaken mankind with the fire of imagination. So it then goes on to say, right, they bred demons upon demons, evil spirits which took half bestial form and copulation to beget more young. They prepared to enter the world of man and corrupt the earth itself. Their aim was to awaken mankind with the fire of imagination, to raise them from the slaves of a sheep-herding, fearful and jealous God. Ahriman soon went forth to the tribes of men and found a woman who slept alone, her husband being nearly impotent and weak as a sheep herder. Ahriman called Samael by the Hebrews. Ahriman called Samael by the Hebrews, which would be Mars, right? Mounted and penetrated deeply Eve, right? Injecting injecting filth into her, and she conceived and bare Cain, who was the first Satanist and sorcerer. Yeah. Iron then left his land to go back into darkness. Right. So these are the things that happened. Now, they had four royal stars, right? The Zoroastrians, right? They had 4 royal stars, and they what they did is they used the stars to work out the solstices and the equinoxes, but they slightly differ. So the first one that they went with was Aldebaran, which is the Great Bull in Taurus, and then they moved. I think the Regulus, which is the next one, which was going to Leo, and so on and so forth. Right, slightly different to our solstices and equinoxes, because of the precession that equinoxes that would be different at that point to what it was now. So the reason that I'm explaining that is because imagine if you would have known that in the first place, rather than being told what you've been told, right? About this thing about a serpent. So what I'm saying is that a force exists here. Yeah, there are forces that exist here. One of them they call like a Satan force, which goes to and fro within the earth, and it does that, and it can be used it can be called upon through the moon, right? Which is our lunar side, our lunar atoms, which we have to transmute into solar, and we'll do that. And we'll just play this short clip now.
Particularly, that's a rapid mood change, voices, hallucinations, and you can smell things as well. So I might smell the best perfume in the world, but there's no smell there. Or I could smell sewage, but there's no sewage. That's always scary.
So you were hearing voices, were you seeing things?
I was seeing, I'll tell you what I saw. First thing that I saw, I saw someone that I knew, a powerful person. And you know them granddad caps, the slim ones, and it was down here, and he was running past my cell. And I saw that, and I'm thinking, bruh, that's kind of mad, but I'm believing it's real. And then I looked at my door, and my door was painted red. And just imagine, look, like that. I could see the image of the devil on that door. So instead of being scared, I've got my cell chair. I just stared at him, and he's talking to me. He's saying like, yeah, you're one of my childs, and hell Satan, hell Lucifer. And I'm just thinking, I've been chosen to be a part of this now. With the devil, you can contact him whenever you want. And when it's a full moon, that's when he gives you the power to do what you want. I'm walking down the landing.
Command you! Tell me your name! I Hear, therefore, and fear, Satan, enemy of the faith. Give me your name, demon! Names! Names! Ancient serpents, depart from this servant of God! Tell me your 6 names! We are the ones who dwell within. And I am Lucifer, the devil in the flesh.
So there that we see that how other beings who are here operate in a totally different matter planes to ourselves, how they using the reality, using darker forces to bring about what they would desire to bring about on the material plane. Yeah, because pain and suffering is nothing to them if they're already suffering it, if they're already here anyway to experience that. For them, that is what they want to they would want to experience, and are not looking to ascend and not looking to operate in larger aspects, because that's not what their being is. Their being isn't that. So that's why I have this with this here. So the spirit of Belial, right? So Belial, the word liar comes from Belial. Now, when we have this spirit of Belial, when we are working with this Belial, right, what it does, what it means is to be without. There's something I termed this diminished self-worth, and videos a long while ago now, yeah, and that is what most beings suffer with, diminished self-worth, and it comes from operating with the energy of Belial. It comes from that, yeah. When we operate with the energy of Belial, yeah, this is what happens. Now, there was a film, Exorcism of Emily Rose, and in these films you'll see a lot of time they will use Belial, yeah, they will use Belial in lots of films, computer games, stuff like that. And the Belial was the first demon that she called upon, I think, yeah. There was 6 of them, but I think Belial was the first demon that she called upon in that. And this Exorcism of Emily Rose, yeah, went on, I think she had 67 of them, and it was in 1976 when she finally passed away, in truth, yeah. That's what actually happened. That is how that actually works. We'll play that little clip. Do you see that? That's how that worked, right? So Belial, when we tune into the energy of Belial, yeah, it gives us with that. And in the Bible, they used to use the term sons of Belial. So these are these demons. So these davas created this Ahrimanic force, created lots of different, brought through lots of different demons from these lower planes that could come and interact on the physical plane, but not allowed to directly come so close. If that's what I'm saying about the amount of planes, if whatever you are tuned into, so you're tuned into an ignorant layer of reality, a heavy dense one, you're so dense because of this lower portion of the positive magnetism of the field, you're so entrenched with it, you can't see anything else anyway but that. So they're just commanding you. You don't even know that they're doing it because you're just working with blind belief. You're working with blind belief. So it is, and this is what leads to, with this Belial and this spirit of Belial, which is the spirit of lies, yeah. It is what leads beings, yeah, leads beings to operating. Sorry, there's something just trying to go for the body, yeah. Right. It leaves beings, yeah. It leaves beings in this energy, yeah, and this energy of lies, right? That's what. Again, get out of it. So it leaves us in this energy of spirit of lies, right? Like an energy which is just commanded by straight lies. Because what we're doing is it means we can do believe. So it says if you believe that, then that's up to you. Because what happens is people then go into their own boxes of beliefs by them believing that everybody has their own beliefs, and therefore there can be no truth, because in actual fact we are all holding onto our own version of things that we believe, and believe that we've taken on ideologies that we've taken on from other beings, and that now we then concrete that and say that is what we believe. We think that something is when really it's not, right? So you could say anything about a belief. I've heard some crazy beliefs. Well, I believe that the government that they want to give us this, and that they want to give us that, and because that's a belief, they don't know that, you just believe it. But what these beliefs, what the actual real power of it is it leaves one without value. It diminishes your value and diminishes your self-worth, because now you believe that everybody is trying to get you. Everybody is untrustworthy. I believe that I don't believe in trusting people. Stuff like that. You hear people say, I don't believe in truth. You can say anything when you're using Belial, yeah, and that's what this energy of Belial does. But it also energy of Belial, yeah, is also connected to other things. they're using the energy of Belial. It's connected to forms of lustful behaviour. Yeah, you're using Belial to do that also. That's what you're doing. And I picked out something on here. Which I can here. So it says Belial came, if this is the right one, yeah. Belial came lust, than whom a spirit more lewd fell not from heaven, or more gross to love vice for itself, right? Fell not from heaven, he's already here, right? To him no temple stood, or altar smoked, yet who more oft than he in temples and at altars, when the priest turns atheist, as did Eli's son, yeah, sons of Belial became sons of Belial, as did Eli's son, who filled with lust and violence the house of God. Yeah, so if the house of God is your temple, is your temple. Your temple is the house of God. We have two temples here. Yeah, right. In courts and palaces he also reigns, right? See, in courts and palaces he also reigns, and in luxurious cities where the noise of riots ascends above their loftiest towers, and injury and outrages, and when night darkens the streets, then wander forth the sons of Belial, right, flying with insolence and wine, yeah, witness the streets of Sodom, and that night in Gibeah, yeah, in Gibeah, when hospitable Doris yielded thine matrons to prevent worse rape, right? So luxury, which is something else that I have on here, yeah, luxury turns humans into souls of sons of Belial. Without worth, we forget that the worth of things and people. When we lust after luxury, we forget the worth of others and the people when we lust after luxury. Yeah, so we don't just the lust, which we're going to look at in a minute. It covers everything, a vast array of things. But you're not going to know that when you are taking on the belief which comes from Belial. If belief comes from a force, an entity force that deals with lust, violence, and diminishing the worth of others through, because one of the ways you're diminishing the worth of others is through these acts of sex, yeah, and that's why it mentions luxury in there like that, because it's through when one starts to have too many luxuries in material luxuries, then what happens is our worth for the other things starts to diminish, because we have so many luxuries around us that what they start to do is, because of the matter planes again, the matter planes, the voice starts to kick in, and the matter plane, she starts again. Yeah, ours is connected to it, Lilith is connected to it. Yeah, Tanit, these which we're going to see in a minute, right, they're connected to it. The voodoo goddess is connected to it, right? These are entities, right? But they are connected. But you see, the overarching is the fallen shadow side, yeah, which is this satanic energy, yeah, which is the satanic force here, yeah, which is a Lilith force, which is a shadow of Lucifer, Christ Lucifer, which emanates here, because we don't command it. It is here deliberately to test us, so that we can command it, overcome it, so that we can move on, and the whole thing can ascend. But that can only be done by souls. It can't be done by anything else. So when we have these luxuries, they start to become mundane to us, and we start to look at them like they're nothing. And then what happens now is we then start to want more of it. So, and that's what we see around, and that's why people, they use their sexuality, which we're going to go into. I'll go into on the different one. When you're using your sexuality as a mask, yeah, you're using your body as a material, as a body, as a mask, using sexuality in order to pull that energy up within others. Yeah, right? And that's what they're using, and they use to get the people on their Facebook to do that subconsciously without them even knowing it, right? Because of the matter planes that you've already been birthed within and tuned into. So here, that's why you have Belial, which means without, diminished self-worth, which is born from Belial, which is Belial. The word liar comes from Belial, be a liar, yeah? Better to lie, be a liar. There's nothing, because with belief, there's nothing stopping you from being a liar. Because there's nothing that anybody is giving to you. There's nothing that anybody gives to you that shows you through there's no truth that somebody can show to you. See, that's that's how this black magic works. People think, well, there's no truth because I can't see it. No, that's because you're entrenched in Belial. You're entrenched in Belial, so you have diminished self-worth. You've diminished your field, so you've diminished the magnetic frequency of your sight, which means that you are entangled with a material plane that doesn't allow you to see past what happens if you tell lies. Doesn't allow you to see past what happens if you tell lies. Different video, right? And that as well, because of the laws. Yeah, it's a video I have to do, because of the laws because of this belief doesn't allow for the laws to come through, which allows for this Belial energy where you think you can just do what you want because of the belief in this lie that you've been given through the spirit of Belial. Yeah, right. So, and then this is why it's coming down here. We have a belly, and that belly, when it becomes full, will swell, and that swelling of that belly will allow the spirit of Belial to come back in again through the mental, through that sloth, greed, give you laziness, which is a diminishing of energy, which attracts matter planes, which are more hellish. These are more hellish planes, even though one is still here. So people think, oh, they're getting away with it. They're getting away with doing what they're doing. They're not getting. Nobody's getting away with nothing, and it's already emanating, impressing itself upon one when one is still here. But because you've not done any realization of self in this process, yeah, it means that they don't recognize, because they are being ushered out of here in delusion. Ushered out, like, thinking, oh, everything's rosy, but it's all crashing and banging around me, but everything's rosy somehow, but I can't stand like that. It's hard work, bish bash. That's what's going on. And then you're getting ushered out of here. 1 minute you're saying everything's rosy, next thing you're saying that you can't pay your bills, next thing you're saying that these bad things are happening to you, and then next thing you're getting sick with this and this and that, but you're still telling yourself that you believe that you're all fine. Yeah, that's what happens. And because you are trapped inside of a matter plane that doesn't allow you to see anything but the reality that you've created for yourself. Yeah. So, and this is why, so we have your bell, which is this bell here. We have a bell end. Yeah. But within that bell end, we also have a corona. Christ was also known, which is known as a cock, a fighting cock, which is connected to his son. In the city of London here, they have something called a cockney. Yeah. So it's all interrelated, and that's why I'm saying you have your belly, and you have your bell here. Yeah, which is the same, another fire god, Bel, right, which is connected to Bel. These are right, but then you see below it, so it's, you've got to work on what's below, and this energy is operating down below, right? Yeah. And so, and then when one says amen goes back to I believe, yeah, in Hebrew, because it's enuma, which means amen, which takes you back to I believe, and aman, which is believed, goes back to believe. So in the Bible, when people are saying amen, they're saying I believe, not I know. If you know, then you'll be persecuted for it. And still to this day, we're being persecuted for it as Gnostics. But we are here to reveal this light and knowledge, and in a humble fashion, to also learn and to relearn what was previously lost, and to learn through mistakes, and to become better, but not perfect, but work towards attaining perfection, and to show others that light also, right? Which is why a lot of my knowledge comes to me through Sophie, if you want to use that word for it, in the night, and then I have to write it down. That's why I have to write it down. Otherwise, it comes through so quick that I will be gone again onto the next thing. Yeah, and that's why I haven't been doing any philosophical work online, whilst I do what I have to do. But distractions also deliberately serve here as well, because this force here, right? There's a force here that wants to trick you and pull you back down and keep you here within it. That's what its aim is to do, and that's why people go, oh, there's no God, because the main one that you're going to find is defeated talk is when people say, if there was a God, then he wouldn't let all these bad things happen, blah blah, and all this sort of stuff. That's it right there. That's it right there. It is doing that. It's letting it is God is letting, if you want to call it that, is letting that happen through using these other entities within its hierarchy, yeah, to allow them to do that to you, yeah. Not dualism, not one against another. All working in harmony as one, deliberately, because only that which can attain light, contain the grade, is able to go onto the other planes. You can't go and time shot other planes with stuff that until you've mastered what's going on down here. You can't go anywhere else and take this rubbish here, there, yeah. The only place that one can go is outside of this is a lower limbo, which is a lesser astral. Speaking of astral, that's why astral is the astral light. Women can use the astral light to, when a woman is in touch with the astral light, when we become attracted, we fall in love with her, yeah. But there is also an astral serpent which can also deceive man using the Belial energy, which encases and entraps woman, right? So this is so words like amen, they go straight back to believe, yeah. So when we're taking the Bible in a literal fashion, you are believing in it, yeah. And then one believes that there is this just an external Satan outside of them. It's like saying, back beast, back from me, Satan, back. But it's inside. Imagine if this thing was inside you, right? this thing's inside. Something's inside you, but I tell you that it's not inside you. Like imagine you've got a tail. You've got a tail or something, right? And there is actually images of men with tails. You know, these humans, right? Right. Imagine you've got a tail. Yeah, and I tell you, you ain't got a tail. It's like a dog. Look. Imagine the dog's got a tail, but it thinks it hasn't got a tail. So an animal, right? And he's looking behind it, trying to catch this thing. You've seen it, and he's trying to catch this thing, trying to catch it. But nobody can tell this dog that it's its own tail. Can't see it. All it can see out the corner of its eye is this thing moving. So it just keeps trying to chase it like that. Because it's an animal, stuck in its animal consciousness. We have that animal consciousness, but we have to rise out of it. So when one thinks, they think, there's a devil out there. Satan's outside. That's outside. But really, he's here inside of you, asking you to work upon it. Yeah? But he didn't tell you that it's inside of you. He's just working through your emotion and working through the 3 lower brains within you. One of them is in the 9th sphere, which is Yesod, which is the sexual brain. Yeah? One of them is there. There's intellectual brain, emotional brain, and the sexual brain, right? And those 3 have to be worked upon. It's the emotional with the sexual, yeah, and intellectual. When they're not worked upon, then this energy, yeah, the one I was just reading as, yeah, that takes over and commands those 3 brains. So the reason that this video is so important is because that 90% of beings, everything that we see out here, is in that fallen state. They have fallen desperately and cannot rise back up because they ejaculate. Yeah, that's where it's born through that. And then even you get some beings that don't want to even have sex now, and then that is also wrong on the opposite. Not wrong. That is also harmful to them on the opposite side, and it's because they don't have the forces, the amino acid forces that are igniting the pathway within them that ignite that sexual force. that sexual force that allows one to create. If I was ejaculating, I wouldn't be able to do these videos like this. I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't want to do them like this if I was ejaculating. No, yeah, because the creativity that's coming from within me is born through the light that is accelerating through my vessel, that is then being ignited by the alchemical work that I do, right? So you have before, right? B4, but B4 is 33. It takes you back up to the 33. You have to climb up to 33 vertebrae, yeah, by doing the sexual magic, right? That's how you climb up each run of the ladder, and the work that goes in with that, in between that as well. Even in what I was just reading, and these fallen Luciferians, right? Using both practices, yeah, to create, yeah. But it said to you that Jahi, what you're going to on this board here, the menstrual blood, yeah. The Knights Templar, we should drink the menstrual blood, but the menstrual blood, they work with it, but the menstrual blood comes from Jahi, yeah, which is a demoness, right? And that creates that within woman, and then what happens is they get this emotional, like a Lilith type of energy, where the emotions come up and they cannot start to become fiery, and in some cases like really, really touching, like touching the flame, like water, like you put water on the thing, just because it's encouraging them. This satanic force, Ahrimanic force, is encouraging the woman to do work upon this. If she doesn't, then she will scorn her own children and cause them to be demonic as well. Yeah, I've seen a few posts recently actually where people were saying to all the good fathers who are there for their kids, and blah 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 blah. Right, what about the other side, where the good fathers that are not able to be there for their kids because of this Belial belief? They have had children with women based upon belief, oh, you can just have kids with anybody, when you can't. The energy field has to match up, yeah. But the woman doesn't, because she's based in belief, doesn't know of this, and her beliefs don't cover this. So she thinks that they didn't get on because of some hatred thing or whatever, just because the man didn't like, that he wanted to go away and not be with them, or for whatever reason, when really what it was there was a repulsion of the energy fields, right? Then that woman, then because the previous Belials in these families we have allowed us to just get with anybody, when we can't do that. We have to be in tribes. We can't just get with anybody, right? The energy field has to match up. Energy signatures have to match up. And then when that doesn't happen, they then turn the child against the father using Jahi, because each one of us, actually they say we have 97% Jah in us and 3% Christic light within, when you fall down in here, yeah. And Jah, which we're gonna look at in a minute, is the island of trashiness, yeah, nastiness, like in your mind, seriously, right? And so that's why before is 33, but then you have a belch. Belch means to bring up. Bring up from below. Bring it up from below. Yeah. And you were saying, so as we were speaking about earlier, works with snakes. Yeah. And Mama Callis, you can see he's got a serpent around him when he's on the floor, coiled up around him. Yeah. They work with serpents and snakes. Work with serpents and snakes, which is what we have here. So Eve is Yeve, in Hebrew, Yeve, yeah, Eve, right, which is Chava, which if you go back into Aramaic, it reverts back to serpent, right, yeah. And that's why you have the mother, like when I was in Portugal, they have it in the churches there, right, they have symbols in there, like a cross, but it's like it's a cross, but it's got, I'll put it up anyway. It's that medieval type cross, but it's the red and the blue, which is telling you about these two forces. And then there's a Magdalene, a Mary Magdalene, right? who is standing up upon a serpent, and then they tell you it's got something to do with Jesus Christ, but really she's standing upon the serpent because the serpent is our mother. One of her archetypes when she's fallen is the as, what she has given rise to by allowing this to come forth as chaos through her square, yeah, which has to be circled with infinite light, right? And that's why you see I have here Jahi, which is jade, to be jaded, which is disformed, disfigured, right? And delta, you have delta now. So all this time when I've been telling you that the mathematical geometry of this level playing field defines what happens, the outcome of your physical reality. And that is why I keep flashing it up and showing you what they're doing like this. Because of the belief system, Belial, sorry, because of the Belial energy, Belial spirit that most people are in tune within, they let it slip straight by past them, not realizing that is reconfirming the version of events that any particular sorcerer wants to continue. So that's why you have a delta, and then you have a potion, yeah, which will adulterate one's matter, yeah, it will adulterate a matter and push one further into Belial, which is more of an artificial state of being, which leaves you without your soul, which will take you, right, and then that Belial will take you and leave you without your soul. But before I just say that, that's why I had here Lamsda. They got another one called Lamsda, which is like Lamed, which is, that's the fourth delta, which is the Daleth, and then this one here is Lamza, which would be Lamed, which would be the 12. So that's the 4 and the 3, which is the 7, yeah, which is the 7, which is based after the 7 gods that command in this place as the Elohim, yeah, it's Michael, Gabriel, and so on and so forth, which is the sun and the moon, right, yeah, and that is what is actually how it's actually being brought into fruition, because they have to use the original organic blueprint, because what you have here now is, like I say, with Uranus coming in. That's why I said before, previously about a year ago, that Uranus will come in and they will bring disruptive technologies through, and will also bring about the changes, squares, black and white squares, Uranus changes, bringing about massive changes in the technological background of, say, of your money currency is going to be changing to a digital currency, and in the mix of that, you can actually reclaim your physical sovereignty if you are not hampered down by the spirit of Belial. Yeah, right. So this is what, see, temperature is a tempter, right? See, which is an astral tempter. There's an astral serpent that tempts. The temperature is a tempter, yeah, right? So heat is a tempter. Right? Because what happens is when we come together, when we think of this sexual, so if whilst I am not triggering this force, whilst I am not triggering this downwards positive magnetism in the bottom portion of the field, yeah, I am not igniting this heat. If I ignite this heat, if I start igniting this heat, it will become a tempter, yeah. What I have to do is learn how to use this heat, and this is why you need you don't need a spice. You do, it'd be better to have eventually to have a spice. You can do it by yourself, but you cannot really do it without what we call it's the anaphor, which is the woman, which is in order to create the Azov, as off, which is one of the 4 alchemical elements that are required in order for you to transmute, and in order for you to turn your lead into the gold of your Christic immortal nature and bring that forth into the physical, into physicality, yeah, right the way through, so that then one can become immortal upon all planes, right? So the heat is a tempter, right? And that's why tempter is within the word temperature. Tempter, temperature, tempting. So I can become a tempter just by, as a sorcerer, I can tempt you just with the chocolates that they do. And then they have these sugars. I read a post about it. What I was trying to get at is they give you these, the people have the people have these sugars, right? And then they have them, right? Like if I had them, it would probably cause it to me. It would probably, like what happened is, if you have these sugars, it affects your urinary tract, right? So it affects your urinary tract, and it reduces the performance down there. So imagine then what happens is here, yeah, it will ignite through hormones the need for sex in some cases. That's why some people, they say, like, get overweight women, they're not having sex, they turn to chocolate instead and cakes and all of that, because they are lusting after that. They are lusting after that, and they are still pulling up the same energy without actually having to have any physical sex. They're still pulling that same energy forward, right? So that's why heat is a tempter. So what I'm saying is, when one uses those chocolates, you can use those chocolates, yeah, and then when they have been used, right, what happens going forward from there is that then it creates that sexual drive and force. They then go to have that, and the sexual performance is nowhere near as good as what it would have been if you didn't have the sugar. Look at that for a paradox. That's how this satanic force would work. It would tempt you through those, because you've interacted with it before through your cephalic phase in your sensory system. With this, you've been eating these sugars. Now you want it again, and you associate it subconsciously with sex. You associate it subconsciously with lust. Then when you go to, then it will pull up the heat in you. Then you'll go to have the sex, and then you will not be able to continue and go for as long as you should be. Then you'll ejaculate, and your energy will be given straight back to the lesser gods. Yeah, that's what happens, right? But then you will never know about anything other than this sort of constrictive. It's like a constrictive kind of painful head banging energy that you've been brought into. A damnation is what it is. It's a damnation. So then you see you have Jezebel. So Jezebel comes from Jahi, who we were speaking about earlier. This god here, the start of the menstrual cycle. Before Jezebel, before the Bible even come about. So Jezebel comes from, the Bible Jezebel comes from Jahi, yeah? And that's why, so these Aryan gods, these entities went over to that part and left it there. Scythians, yeah? We were drinking blood. Why was it drinking blood? So this comes with where jealousy comes from. And the woman, if the woman is left to Belial, the spirit of Belial, she can become a demoness. Easy. They're a demoness, right? And you see with women, they keep jealous of other women. They don't like some women. Not all women, not all men. We're not coming here from this I can't figure the word for it myself now. We're not coming here from this feminism and all this. We're not coming here from these dualistic perspectives. We're speaking about nature here above. So we have the fallen lower archetypes, these fallen lower personalities, and then we have the more elevated higher balanced personalities within all of woman. But if I was coming from a more heavier, denser plane, having done this work, then I will be in a judgmental perspective, which means you go, don't speak about that. You're sexist. Don't talk about this. That is the projection again coming from me, not wanting to allow the demons to be recognized. That's what that is. We have to be able to speak and outline everything and say, this is what this is. This is what this is. This is jealousy. This is how you are causing division between our other selves, because you're, as a woman, you think that other women want to steal your man and X, Y, and Z because of the beliefs Belial energy that you are entangled within. Until someone comes and tells you that this is what you are, this is what we are doing, they're gonna just keep allowing it to take place. Yeah. So, and that's where this demoness, the menstrual cycle comes from. Yeah, from which is connected to BL, yeah, which is connected to which is blood. Now, the reason that the Skyvians would use the blood, the reason that they would use the blood, yeah, the reason they would drink the blood is because your blood is a negative soul. So the negative charge, which is this aspect of the field, this aspect of the field, yeah, which you could equate that to blue, right? Could equate that to blue because it's still and it's cold, right? But they can be interchangeable again because this is how she works, right? Which is what we're looking at here now. The blood is negative soul, has negative soul. It has a positive portion to it as well, but it's mostly negative soul due to the heparin. What does the negative soul do? The negative soul, the heparin, with the Baphomet, you see coagulation. So coagula in the Baphomet is like this, right? It has in its arm coagula, yeah, which means to come together and cement and hold still and form fixed, solid form in relation to a denser plane that is forgiving. Right now, when the blood, if that happens to the blood, then the cell, there's no space between cells, they can't communicate properly, and then your mind, your brain will tune in to one of that fixed coagulated plane down like this, lesser, because you are moving towards. We're moving you towards the lower planes that you are already going to, which is these are the infernos, right? Which where you're already heading towards, yeah. And that's why in Atlantis they used to kill the bull, because the sacrifice of the bull, yeah, is a sacrifice of the lower nature and its lesser ego aligned with that lower nature, because they stay in the psychic form, in the psyche, and they stay in the mental planes, and then they linger around here, and that plays a part in the ambience of the reality that we experience, where it's more of a hellish plane, yeah, because of these things, yeah, because they're not being collectively worked upon and recognized, so that's why it stays like that. But the blood, the reason that people drink blood is because it's negatively charged. It's negatively charged, and through, like I was looking at this Luciferian occult, dark occult works here, yeah, I've known about this. I've been doing this for many years, right? So I've looked at all aspects in order to gain a clear balance perspective by walking the middle narrow path. Eventually, not easy, but eventually, yeah. So as an alchemist, I can tell you, as a very deep alchemist, covering many areas. Like I have things here now that I have, like a copper, right, which is going to be connected to Oshun here, because Oshun, when they did the dancing, they wear copper bangles. Yeah, Oshun is a water goddess, water deity who births forth life here. She was one of 17 Orishas that were sent here in order to rectify things through water. Now your waters, through what we've discovered here on this channel and through my work, is that these waters are negatively charged. And what we've discovered is that negatively charged substances create a party. Is like, you could equate that to when they take drugs. People take cocaine and all the rest of it. That is also contains alkaloids in it, which are give them a negatively charge. Oxytocin as well. So when they created Coca-Cola, in the spirit of this, in this spirit here of with this other spirit of Belial, and we're going to look at probably Baron Samedi, right? When they used, what they would do, because they're operating from those matter planes that don't contain any sort of spirit, really, they will mix the cocaine up with beer, and that's where you get Coca-Cola from. That's where they get the drink Coke. That's where they get the drink. There's a big wasp. That's where they get the drink. Coca-Cola. It's where that is directly where it comes from. Yeah, the mixing of those two things together. Yeah, because they are lacking something. Something is missing. Something is missing, and the reason that something is missing is because the alchemical work is not being done prior. Is not being done, so we are missing out on the superior aspects of nature that contain samadhi, ecstasy, ecstatic substances that release orgasmic flow within. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I have things here like the copper I was just talking about. I just created one where now if there was a pain or something, I just spray it and it just goes straight away. And I can show you that copper oxide in a matter state. Again, this is the matter planes again, in a matter state where it's already proven to remove big deep wound healing, and works with diabetes and such and such like that. Because copper is green, it's caring, connected to green here, yeah. So it will repair your physicality when you catch it in a spirit form, straight out of the ether, yeah, by creating a rip and a tear in the ether, by generating energy, generating a field, yeah, which creates a dielectric acceleration, yeah, we're able to pull in these copper fields. And when you look at them, you can see that they are coming from a more advanced. They're not just something that you've never seen it before, yeah. They move in a very elegant sort of way, like Oshun. So your blood is this negative soul. Now we know how it's good because when we use the urines, etc., yeah, it puts you in a different, higher, a more elevated plane of being. But the word soul is connected to soul. But so is the seven, which is the seven gods. So there's seven main gods there, which is the soul. But soul can create a loss. If you lose soul, you can lose soul. If you lose soul, you create a loss. So soul is loss. Yeah, soul can loss. You can lose your soul. Yeah, like all these different energies here, certain energies that people tune into, certain spirits that you tune into. Their job is to swap their soul. Yeah, is to diminish what was the soul and replace it with an Ahrimanic force instead. And that Ahrimanic force is aligned with death and dead stuff. So it would perceive that physical labor is something that you should be doing, regardless if it's causing you pain, suffering, or anything. They worship it, and that is what they cultivate. Ahrimanic force, something that you're cultivating from within you. So if I create a movie, a very dense movie based on like evil scenarios and a restrictive way of being, if you are already cultivating that Ahrimanic force within you, then you will align with that anyway, because that is what you are cultivating, and that is what you are, the reality that you are perceiving through that particular matter plane that you tuned into. Yeah, that's what's actually happening, right? Right, so soul equals a loss in electromagnetic force, right? So soul, if we lose soul, we're creating a loss in this electromagnetic force, right? And that's why soul is connected to solar plexus, which is connected to soul, which is sun, because we need to be able to, the sun is the soul, is connected to the soul, which is connected to the center of our self. So the sun is connected to the center, but this has to be the center because we have the sun here, the physical sun here. Behind it is a spiritual sun. Yeah, so that's why we know that this has to be the center. So then this has to be green, and then be surrounded by the 12 rulers, which are 12 rulers, which are then being governed by a silent 13th. Yeah, this is what is happening, right? Happening right here, right now, right? So, and this why Oshun, which is the water deity, water goddess, when they did a thing, they did a big dance like this, and she's connected to vanity again as well, but life, fertility, and same as Yamoja, but these are coming from waters, yeah, waters hold the key to, waters contain fire, yeah? Waters hold the key to not just regenerating life, but the acceleration of life, also the acceleration of, yeah? So this is why you have, and then you have Angra Manu. So this is where angry comes from. The Ahriman, angry, anger Manu, because this force, it is just one way. Evil, like Jezebel means trashy, island of trash, trashy mind, angry, yeah. All of these, so I said, a baby still has anger, which comes through. Doesn't get what he wants straight away, get angry about it a bit, yeah. Still get a bit angry about it, not to the same degree as what we can get angry, but you get angry, and then when you get angry, you're the one that loses. You're the one that loses, because when your anger diminishes, you feel tired. It's the same as you feel like you've ejaculated. You've lost something because you have decided to enter too far into each one of these fields. You've still kind of spilled your cup of Hermes when you have allowed that to happen. And that's why angry comes from this Proto-Indo-European word, anger, which means constricted, yeah, constricted, right? And a part, and then then you have soma, which is a body juice. There was a soma juice. A soma means body. Soma juice, which in Bhagavad Gita, a lot of Vedic scripture, soma would be created, from what I can see, with my syncretism that I'm doing here right now. This is the soma, yeah, means body. Soma means body. So a soma juice was the juice of the body, yeah, a juice of the body, which would have been a urine. And ATP converts to tap, and it converts to pat. And a pat is what you hit, initially means to hit, to mark the spot. That's what a pat is, hit to mark the spot, right? And so then what you have is this. I'll show this video, right, about Jack-o'-lantern. These again, this is an Irish folk tale. So we're looking at Zoroastrian, Persian, yeah, Iran, prior to our timelines, yeah, more towards the original timelines where the beings coming from the north were residing, and then these same stories then they go all the way back, connected to island again as well. So we'll put that on now.
Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholes. Today we have a tradition here at the podcast. A tradition of the legend of Stingy Jack. Because what would Halloween be without a jack-o'-lantern? This is the Irish tale that brought us, well, most of the things that we know so well about this holiday. This is the legend of Stingy Jack. Stingy Jack was a miserable old drunk who loved playing tricks on anyone and everyone. One dark Halloween night, Jack ran into the devil himself in a local public house. Jack tricked the devil by offering his soul in exchange for one last drink. The devil quickly turned himself into a sixpence to pay the bartender, but Jack immediately snatched the coin and deposited it into his pocket, next to a silver cross that he was carrying. Thus, the devil could not change himself back, and Jack refused to allow the devil to go free until the devil had promised him not to claim Jack's soul for 10 years. The devil agreed, and 10 years later, Jack again came across the devil while out walking on a country road. The devil tried collecting what he was due, but Jack, thinking quickly, said, "I'll go, but before I do, will you get me an apple from that tree?" The devil, thinking he had nothing to lose, jumped up into the tree to retrieve an apple. As soon as he did, Jack placed crosses all around the trunk of the tree, thus trapping the devil once again. This time, Jack made the devil promise that he would not take his soul when he finally died. Seeing no way around this predicament, the devil grudgingly agreed. When Stingy Jack eventually passed away several years later, he went to the gates of heaven. But he was refused entrance because of his life of drinking and because he had been so tight-fisted and deceitful. So Jack then went down to hell to see the devil and find out whether it was possible to gain entrance into the depths of hell. But the devil kept the promise that he had made to Jack years earlier, and would not let him enter. "But where can I go?" asked Jack. "Back to where you came from," replied the devil. The way back was windy and very dark. Stingy Jack pleaded with the devil to at least provide him with a light to help him find his way. The devil, as a final gesture, tossed Jack an ember straight from the fires of hell. Jack placed the ember in a hollowed-out turnip, one of Jack's favorite foods, which he always carried around with him whenever he could steal one. From that day forward, Stingy Jack has been doomed to roam the earth without a resting place, and with only his turnip to light the way in the darkness. And that is the legend of Stingy Jack, and the origin of the jack-o'-lantern, although originally it was a turnip. There you have it, none.
So here, the one there, you've seen that the devil, yeah, with Jack. And what was Jack? He was a trickster. And what was he? He was an alcoholic. He was a drinker again. Because the drink pulls in with these, we might have seen known it with spirits, yeah? Because it's not just bad spirits. What it is what you consume will pull you into particular planes that allows spirits of that polarity to be able to interact with you. Yeah, that's what's happening. So when you ejaculate, that's why ejaculate, I've had this board for a long time. Ejaculation, ejaculation. So that's why when you have a jack, you have the jack, yeah. I did a lot of work on talking about the jack of spades, yeah. So a jack is a knave, and then the knave, what the knave does is the knave was like a go-between, and what the knave would do is like kind of like a deceitful sort of character, yeah. But the jack is a young one, so that's why you have Jack the lad. The pack of cards is the pack of life, yeah. And the jack of spades, is the young, wet behind the ears, when we have fallen, and he's one-eyed like this. He's one-eyed, yeah, and he's carrying an hourglass, which is a figure of 8 in his hand as well, yeah. And what he's doing, he's lost at sea. He's totally lost at sea, and he's fallen into his lower nature. And what he does is he rides the goat, and that's what we were saying earlier. When we go back to doing certain things, when we go back to doing any viceful behaviours, or any things that are more dense, some things that we just could not do now. But if you go back to do it, anything, you try anything, because it is within the laws for you to be able to do it. Because if it wasn't within the laws for you to be able to do it, you won't be able to do it. So if you went and had a drink of alcohol, you'll probably you'll wish that you didn't do it. You wish that you hadn't have done it. Or if you stopped doing any of the practices, or whatever it was, if you ejaculate, it would take you a long time. If you go around ejaculating when you've already stopped, it could mentally damage you. You know what I mean? It depends on how much work when you get to a certain level, you won't do it anyway. But if you were at a lesser level and you go towards doing it, you have to be able to carry a lantern in the darkness like this, yeah. You have to become a light bearer, and that's what that story there, that old folklore story tale, is pretty much saying. Also, you have to be able to become a light bearer to be able to ride the goat. When one rides that goat, the aim of that should be to take you closer towards the take you closer towards the 12 o'clock, which is the club of wisdom, which is the Jack of wisdom. Yeah, he now has 2 eyes, right? And he holds the club of wisdom, right? Because he's up high, not down low, and not below. He's not with Belial below. He's up high, and that enables him to see from the clouds downwards from the wisdom perch, and therefore he's not causing harm to one's self. Yeah, but if you fall, you have to be able to fall from that perspective of learning. You're not just falling for not knowing. When you fall with knowing, it can be worse. In a way, you have to be strong, because you would know that you are doing what you are doing is causing detriment to where you have been, and you may feel you may not be able to get back to where you were, and you can feel those matter planes where you've already been, where you died before. You're going back to where you're deaf. So when you worked upon yourself and you become elevated, and when you've embarked upon as an initiate, then what happens is, when you go back, you are rekindling death again. So you are walking back down the valley of shadow of death, and you will need your mother behind you holding the lantern with your own lantern, so that you can see the light to head back towards the fire of love, which is within the heart, having fallen down into the goat and fall down to the shadow of death, right, into your lower 6, which was your lower sex. So ejaculation, right, which is a form of energy, right, energy, right, which is E. That's why it's E for ejaculation. You're ejaculating, you're triggering, and you're losing energy, right? So then you have jack off, right? Jack off, right? And when they have that thing, jackass, that's what a jackass is. An idiot. You're an idiot. It's what the jack is. They're like a fool, right? And that's why they had that program. The people were jackasses. They were jackasses, and they were acting stupid, because the movie mirror wants to keep reflecting back at you. And there was a guy in the government here they had called Hancock, and he's telling people to do things. This is in the rest, all the rest of it. And then in the end, he goes and has a lustful act. Not long ago, in this land where I've been, yeah, they did a survey on the kids at school, and in a lot of the girls in the school, I think it might be 50%, it was quite very high, were saying that they were being sexually abused at school by boys. That's what's happening here, because this Ahrimanic force, they need to keep you in a lower over sexualized state, in order to continue to keep this particular plane of matter that they want beings to be stuck inside of an illusion, yeah, to stuck in delusion inside of that particular matter plane. That's why people look and go, I can't get out of it. And I said a long time ago, the only way back to Eden is through sex. So I just didn't understand why we thought they could get back anywhere else without having done that level of work upon oneself. You wouldn't be able to get in. That's why it tells you in there. There's even in the Bible they tell you, right, that what they put in the Garden of Eden was 2 like swords with flames that go chuk, 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 to keep you out, because you're defiled. Chop you up if you try to get anywhere near the doors, because you haven't done the work upon yourself in order to return back to the light, yeah. So in order to return back to the ethereal paradise of all-knowing perfection, yeah, you cannot return back there. So, such as Hyperborea and so on and so forth, until we have risen above the artificial movie mirror, which serves to keep beings entrenched within it until they have risen and become and gain the triumphant nature, in order to eject themselves back to that point of perfection, yeah. So it has to be in this way, and we encourage it, because we have created it like that, in that way. So when you dream, all the vices and all the negativity that you've been dealing with, they come back to you in that dream, which is the same way that when one ends, this particular dream ends, then those same vices and negativities that we reside within, and the entrapments and the delusions that we've bought into with this spirit of Belial and so on and so forth, then you will only be able to return back to the same plane of frequency that matches the energy that is residing within your mental sphere, which is what you are. You can only return back to what you are, which means that you be right back up in the dream, back here. So you just continue the dream, this particular dream, back here, yeah. And when one has an elevated, virtuous truth, looking through the living soul, eyes of the living soul, then one exits this particular dream and wakes back up in cryostasis, back home, outside of this labyrinth, right? So jack lift. So a jack is a lift, right? You have a jack, they jack the car up on the lift like that, to lift it up, because that's what jack does. This is what jack does. It lifts you up. You jack. A jack is there to be lifted. A jack is there to start from the bottom, and it's there to lift up, raise up. Yeah, right. So this is what a jack in a box does. A jack in a box does. Now, a funny story with Peter Pan. The guy that created Peter Pan was born on May the 9th, right? Now, he had a brother that died, and now Peter Pan, his birthday is on June the 13th. And the guy that created Peter Pan, he was born on May the 9th. He created Peter Pan based off of his brother, who died when he was 13. Yeah, because 13 is resurrection, right? So Peter Pan is a boy who never grows old, but he has his shadow. And that's telling you here that Ahrimanic satanic force is the shadow of Lucifer Christ. Lucifer Christ was Peter Pan, and Peter Pan is 5. He's 5. And we have here we have 400 Arishi, yeah, Santeria, in Santeria. So the original ways of being, I like to use the word religion, of people of my origins would have been more towards the Santeria, and some of the voodoo as well, right? And those beings then, there were gods, and those gods were sent from Olodumare, yeah, in order to watch over us, in order for us to work with them, so that we can raise back up, so that we can come out of this formed plane into a more lighter ethereal plane, having done the work here, by working with those gods, yeah. And that's why it was taken away in that way, so that couldn't take place. And that's what a jack in the box does. He comes out, rises up, and that jack in the box is a 4, and he's the 5th, because that cube has a 4. The cube that Jack in the box sits in is a 4. Geometry, sacred geometry. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in that cube. Out of that cube is the 5th, which is this fifth force, which is this quintessence, yeah, which is you circling your square. So which is why when you have, like I have on this one here, which is why when we have here, when you have here, look, so you have. There's an idiom, right? An idiom, which is ID, which is opposite to DI, because DI is the gods. So the opposite to the gods is an idol, idolatry. So and this is why they give you an ID. There's a guy that goes around in the UK, and when he goes and challenges the police on our rights, because of their belief system means that they don't know what our rights are. And yet they're doing the job, but they don't understand what the rights are. Imagine that. And that's why we are called ruffians, with ignorance, selfishness, and fear. And we have to be governed over with these. We had to be previously, and these do. They have to be governed over by these artificial rules that are stupid. They're not based in wisdom, and they are there to babysit children who don't have no who don't have a conscience and moral compass, born through intelligence and wisdom, because they don't have Binah and Chokmah activated, within them, Holy Spirit and Christ inner standing. They don't have them activated within them. So because of that, they have to be governed, because they're working with Belial, which is, I believe that I can say that for me to get my way, I can believe and say that you've done something that you haven't done, and tell everybody that you're this and you're that in order to get my way. And I say that you've done because I don't like that you've trodden on my fence. So I'm going to say that what you did is you deliberately trodden on my fence, blah 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 blah, which is a lie. So therefore, that what they have to do is create a system where they can babysit children who don't know how to be open and honest, and don't know how to liberate the other fields of others. They can't interact with other fields and dance upon the mat of squares and interact with them in a liberated fashion. They can only look to get one over on someone because they're in that energy field, the energy, that lower band of energy. There's a band of energy here that makes one not want to be helpful to anybody. It makes one want to perceive that everybody is somehow against them, and everybody is there to be competed against, and therefore we have to lie about other people and stuff in order to get our way. And that's the system they've created, this cowardly lying system type thing, where people conduct business, but what you do is you're not honest within the business with the way that you conduct it. You look at other people and say, well, you're just there to do your job, so you have to put up with everything that I've said to you, or I'm just doing my job, so I'm just going to come around here and just take away your kids and blah blah blah, because I was just doing my job. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. You used your own mentality, and you embarked upon your own faculties to embark upon those actions that they chose to do, and therefore they will be dealt with accordingly by a law that is far greater than a visible law that we are working with. So this is why I have this idiom, be there or be square. Yeah, because if one is square, yeah, then what's happening is you're losing out. You've lost out. Be square, because if you're a square, you are dead. You are dead. And this is why you have to learn how to circle your square with the expansion of, again, your biomagnetic field. And that's why here we've done on the top of this board, 10 means net. 10 is net. 10 is net. And inside of that 10, you have a 6-sided Merkaba with 4 winds, 64, which is you've got 64 codons in your DNA, which again is 64, which gives you, as I did on that other video, which I'm going to do a part two of, yeah, which gives you that disc, and that disc, yeah, that disc is what you have. If you have an ocean, an ocean comes from the Greek word, I think it's okeanos, which means a disc, a water around the disc, water around the disc, because this is a disc and it's surrounded with water surrounding a disc, and that's where the word ocean, that's what the word ocean means. Water surrounding a disc, surrounding the disc is what it actually means, right? So when you have belief, you then define actual truth and say, no, I can't see this, I can't, with blind belief. When you water, oceanos means water around the disc. That's what that is. I don't know. So, and that's when you have, when we insinuate, when one make an insinuation, right? Insinuations is shin. What I was saying before, we have mem, aleph, and shin. Shin is fire. Shin is sin, and sin is a fire. When you sin, you're igniting a fire. You're igniting a type of a fire, which becomes a temperature, which is a heat. Yeah. So that's, and then what they do is they've made an insinuation upon you that says that you are not clever enough to be commander of your own vessel and your own estate. Therefore, you have to be ruled over. And if you leave for 7 years, then you'll be a delinquent, lost at sea. So then they will make an insinuation on you and get your parent to inform upon you inform upon you, and then they will insinuate that you are a dead entity. So that's why with Aurora, I've changed the wording of her actual name. I've changed the wording of her name so that she cannot be called and insinuated upon by demons. Yeah. That's that one. And then I'm going to talk about this one here. So mama, papa, mama, papa. This here, mama, papa, yeah, is this syllable is a mantra. And this mantra is the first words, some of the first words that a child makes. Mama, papa, but mappa is 13, right? 13. Now mappa comes from, I think it's Hebrew mappa, right? Here, Latin actually, mappa mundi means map of the world, right? Now map of the world, mappa, is a cloth, a napkin, a tablecloth, you put on a level playing field, you put on a level cloth, and that's what mappa means. So you have la madre, yeah, and el padre, mother and father, yeah. So mappa, and when you use those syllables to a child, like I did, this is showing you magic here, right? You encourage clairvoyance. You encourage here, right? Yeah. This is what, and you encourage clairaudience, right? By doing this. Now you do that, and that brings forward perfection, but you are doing it through mapa, mama, papa. This is la. This is the 16th vortex. This vortex is the 16. This is the 16, which is the 7. So ironically, I use this cerebellum here. I pour this aged urine every single day. Every day. I wish I could show you how I do what I do with it, and it puts me in an ethereal, into my etheric body, and my physical body goes to sleep, right? My etheric body pretty much takes over most of the time that I'm here. And when I put this aged plasma on here, with it having its high negative soul, right, it comes into my vessel here. It comes into my vessel here, right, and it comes from my cerebellum. So I had a child who was Taurian, which is this here, because I'm always pouring it on here, yeah, and she's Taurian, yeah, and which is coming through the 7th. Now the seventh house is Libra, but it is ruled by Venus, which rules the Taurian also here. So when I say to her, mama, papa, I do it through the 7 here, through the voice box here, and that is encouraging her clairvoyance and encouraging clairaudience within her. The more that I use that mantra upon her, to get her to use that mantra upon herself. So what they say is, when we use language, when you use language, right, and when we use slang language to babies, and we use different language, we affect them, we imbalance them from the beginning, and it carries on all the way throughout their whole being, throughout their whole here. So they put television on and they start talking dumb languages to your kids and all that, and it's making them dumb. It's what's happening. It's making them stupid, but they cannot recognize this because they are doing work, and work is physical. The definition of work is labor, physical labor, which means hardship and trouble. If one knew, and beings knew, that the word physical, that work meant hardship and trouble, I wonder how many of them would actually do it if they were using knowing, and to know that was what that means, rather than going with belief. Belial. So Belial forces one to have diminished self-worth, and forces one to continually be in damnation, and damn your children, yourself. You damn yourself, your children, everything, because of the spirit of lies, without realizing it. And this is why we're here we have, and that's why Mappa is 13, because it's telling you that Mama and Papa together creates resurrection, creates transformation, creates a portal towards a new plane of being. Yeah. It creates a portal towards the 13th aeon. Sophia is the 13th aeon. So that potentially means that you are not in the real world right now. You just think you are, but there is a world, a real world, a more perfected world outside of this one. Yeah. So then we have something called Papa Legba, right? Papa Legba. Now Papa Legba wears a big top hat. Now they wear a top means crest. It means summit, the height. The bankers and these people, they used to have to wear the hat, but only if you was risen, like you was of status, could you wear this top hat. Yeah, top hat. And the mason, the highest form of mason, sometimes wears a top hat as well to simplify that he's at the summit. But one of the things that they're doing is they're covering their crown, aren't they? So the hat, and like I've seen time before, people say, oh, these guys, they put alcohol and they got a bottle of whiskey or of vodka or something under the hat, right? So what the hat is doing is covering the crown. It's covering the crown, isn't it? It's covering the crown, you see. And I think they also, in course, they wear it as well, right? This thing over the head. But it's covering, the top hat covers the crown. But Papa Legba wears this top hat. And Papa Legba represents transmutation. Trans means to cross, to move, and Papa Legba is a voodoo lower, yeah, from the Gede, and the Gede I said earlier is his gods, and these are the lower gods. But these gods, the Gede gods, right? These are some of these gods. These ones are the gods of death, right? Yeah, the god over the physical plane. So people work with Papa Legba, yeah, to bring them stuff. But what Papa Legba does, Papa Legba and Baron Saturday, which is Saturn, which is death, they can bring people back from the dead, and also they look what they work with is debauchery, shouting, squaring, screaming, you know, alcohol again, tobacco, yeah. This is what they do. You have to leave these things to these gods. You was leaving it to Santa Claus when you was little. They told you to give Santa a drink and still I leave some alcohol out for him. This is a ritual, same thing, because what they represent is this phallic principle, and this is where a cane, because a rod and a cane is a hyperboloid staff, which is a phallic, yeah. The number for Papa Legba is 3, which is 2 legs and a phallic, yeah. And Papa Legba carries the road between the physical plane and the death. So when someone's dying, they're going to call Papa Legba, and if Papa Legba decides somebody put a hex on someone, and that person does, and that they call Papa Legba will decide whether that person should actually die or not. So a lot of the slaves with people of my heritage, they don't realise this, but this would one of their gods. One of the gods that they work with is Papa Legba and Baron Samedi. And Baron Samedi, you find it in Bond films.
The legendary Baron Samedi, folks. That's Saturday for those of you who speak French. Voodoo god of cemeteries and chief of the Legion of the Dead. The man who cannot die. But for our purposes, just a performer in a little musical extravaganza we've cooked up for you wonderful people.
Morning. It's sure going to be a beautiful day. Yes, a beautiful day. In one proper time.
So like you see there, you find it in these James Bond and all these other films. They've things like the Candyman, American Horror Show. All these programs, because it's all part of the movie. The movie has to reflect back the same movie to you in order for you to believe in the movie. Yeah, the movie's so deep, it's not a joke. It covers very, 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 very vast. Yeah, So, but these gods, Baron Saturday, dies Sabbati actually, because dies is days, and days is 13. So it's telling you that you, right, have to telling you that you have to become resurrected. You have to die and be reborn in your days. Every day that you are here, you are dying, and every single day that you are here, that is what is taking place. And Papa Legba and Baron Samedi are very similar. And his wife, his consort, Baron Samedi, is Maman Bridget. Bridget is a part of the Fouad de Dan, right? She's there as well, Ireland. And you used to get people of my heritage, they're from Ireland as well. This is what I'm saying, right? And Mama Bridget is still Bridget, and they are fertility goddess, but they represent death as well. See that? See the dualism there? They represent death at the same time as well. So that you know that all things come together as one. And Bridget, Mama Bridget, is the same as Papa Legba. She comes with debauchery, drinking, alcohol, yeah, then all that, yeah. It's this lower energy that they're working with. It's Aramanic forces that they're working with as well, but at the same time, above where we're at. The reason I'm showing this is where we're at. We're trying to command our lust, and we're not able to do that. And then what that does is it puts us below even certain spirits. We are below the spirit planes. There's a haze above here, an astral plane just above this one. We are seen as lesser than that in this state, lesser than demons, lesser than beings that do dark bad things. We are lesser than them. You cannot, because we are blind and cannot see. So therefore we need to learn how to work with spirit in going forward, in order so that we can manifest things in matter. That's how we govern this reality, and that's how we take back what was previously already as, right? So by getting what we want, so things like disease and stuff like that, they come to us because we're not able to work with spirits, our soul, and work with spirit as well. I work with my soul. I don't work with lesser gods and stuff like that, but I know other beings do, and the beings that run this place, they are doing it, and they work with Papa Legba, yeah, and they work with Baron Samedi, and they work with these forces, and they can come and bring goodness to you. If you go by a crossroads and you call for Papa Legba, and he can give you can lead you to where you want to be, lead you to where you need to get to, lead you to where you want, where you want, stuff like that. So this word here, luek, Proto-Indo-European, before Sanskrit, this is where the word light comes from, and then after that it was translated into Greek, into lux, yeah. But light, yeah, which is luminescence. So Lu, see, it's got Lu in it. It's a luminescence, yeah. Lumen, which is your arteries are called the lumen, which means that you've light running through your arteries. My means is the root word for change and move. So if I say to you, me die 9, that's be using numerology, a language that the spirits will recognize. Me die 9, yeah. Me die 9. Me, me, and 9 are both 9, yeah. So they're telling you that you must die to get to 9, yeah. And me, the original word for me is M-E-I, yeah. That's its original, in its original context, and it means change, to change and move. That was the original word for me, so it comes from, yeah, Proto-Indo-European. So change and move is what we have to do, is change and move. We have to be malleable. We have to, that lead has to be turned into gold. There's a similar I use, which is the moon going down, and it's the moon going, it's Saturn going down, it's the moon coming up towards the solar, yeah. That has to take place in so many different aspects of our being constantly, in order for there to be any type of progression here. There'd be no progression here otherwise, yeah. Not about you being healthy, about you becoming you becoming elevated from lead to gold within your whole vessel, and your blood has to change color. Your blood has to be cleaned. Right? So here, and that gets cleaned for the mental, the emotional, the etheric, all of the bodies, the vital bodies, all have to be done. yeah. And the solar plexus is the antenna to begin that process, and the 96 is the receiver. Yeah, there are even some ways that you can stand. The may stand, kick the heels together like that to bring in certain rhythmic vibration within the body. Yeah, certain frequencies that enable to be able to interact and tether with these planes, these planes. So that's why you have this Leok, converts to lux, converts to light, converts to Lucifer, yeah, which again is everywhere here. Which is within everything as an energy, as a force and an energy. And one of the main ways you find that is within the urine, and that's why we'll play that this other little the video now, because these celebrities they are doing it, but they don't tell you that they're doing that.
Why does your mom drink her own piss?
She doesn't. Oh my god.
She what?
She went hiking with this woman
who drank her own piss?
Who drinks her own pee like every day. Isn't it good for you? I'll drink my pee. Could you wait till we're outside? Oh my god, are you really gonna do it? It doesn't smell that bad, smell it.
Nah,
no.
That's alright. Justify stuff like that.
It's been exposed too long. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't.
Ew! Why are you doing this for fun now? You are such a freak.
And the reason they'll tell you that they're using these what they would call sexual fluids is because it's better for them to keep it in as a small group in order so that they can create this, continue this power differential. But that falls when people like myself and others and yourself are here doing what we are actually doing. Yeah, that falls down. Right. So Lu is 33. Lulu. So that would be 33. And then look will give you 6, 3, 3, 11. So for you to look. Now this Luciferian, the Lucifer symbol is based upon this receiver and these two eyes, the angles. Because when we look, and I've seen this as well, in a hallucinatory state as I was much younger, your sight can flip back around on the upside down. You don't have to be looking like this. We take advantage of it. But you don't have to be looking the right way around. If your consciousness was altered and it slowed down, then it would flip back the other way because your eyesight's being flipped this way around for you to see. And in case within that is Lord is 22. And in case with this, the symbol for Lucifer is a V, which is voltage 22, which is Sophia. Yeah. So, and that's why. So I'll finish it off there. And that's why perfection is 3. Numerology, Pythagorean numerology, perfection is 3, but 3 is interchangeable with 7, and 7 and 3 are 1. So it tells you there, just within the word perfection, it's showing you and giving you a core secret of this reality. And then you have the Azoth here, which is the A and the Z, which is Azoth, which is one of the secret alchemical forces that must be ignited and triggered within in order to bring forth your God, immortal, luminous, limitless, immortal state of being. So what we'll do is we'll leave it on that one, and I can only say to you, peace, love and centeredness. But before I do that, I might as well finish off this board, because otherwise if I don't finish it, I won't go on to the next one, right? Then I'll be thinking, I wish I didn't put it on. It has to be done. So lost is tussle. And lost equals 9. The 9. Yeah, right? So 9, this here, I've put it in purple and black. So the colours for Baron Samedi, Papa Legba, Mamam Brigade. Mamam Brigade, Papa Legba is black, but his consort, his wife, Mama Brigade, she's redhead, and she's of Irish descent. Well, Father Dedan, but she's Aryan. I would have thought, yeah, because the Aryan giants had the red eye, blue eyes, either blonde hair or red hair. Yeah. So there's a secret. There's some secret in there. What's being said here, yeah, as to where your origins reside within this place. So that's why we have lost, which is tussle, which equals 9. But then the word lost is slot. The word lost is slot. But slut means slovenly man or woman, careless, yeah? It doesn't mean that you're sexually lustful. It means that you're careless and messy, yeah? Which was the same as one of the words we was looking at earlier. If a lot of these other gods here are just saying they're careless and they're messy. The Papa Legba, Maman Brigade, Baron Samedi, they're careless, right? In many ways they are, but in other ways they're not. They're very clever, but they have this carefree, they don't care attitude to them, and that's what most people have here. They're carefree, careless. They couldn't care less. You just stand on something and just kill it, right? Just put something in, like a dustbin can, just throw the food in. And this is what's happening, yeah? See, this is where where you are. It's like a hell on earth. And because the lower plane has manifested itself onto this plane, but because of the delusions of the matter planes, makes people think that they're in a higher, elevated, more perfected plane, but really they're in a lesser, denser plane, yeah? And it will take them lifetimes to recognize that, because they are not ready to recognize, because they haven't risen enough to access that triumphant nature, to be able to have the superior intelligence and wisdom to recognize it. So that's what lust is. It's slut is slovenly woman or man, which is careless and messy, right? Careless and messy, right? And then you've got the word slag, SL, and slap. That's why, because it's the 4. SL is the 4. So these things will happen here, because within the 4 is the 4 warring elements without the ether, yeah? So without the ether, you have these 4 warring elements where you have death. Like over here, there's the things, the thorns, right? The thorns and stuff, right? Like the nettles, stinging nettles, yeah? Stinging nettles, you know what I mean? You think about, you put your arm through, they'll rip your arm straight open, rip you up, right? That's how what this is. When it's just these 4 warring elements, it's only when we bring the ether to it, that we bring the intelligence to it, that then the harm is then diminished through it, because of the satanic force that resides within here deliberately, in order to push us back towards that elevated state of being, because that these two forces kind of they go to loggerheads with each other, yeah? One of them wants to pull you down, the other one wants to take you up, and that's where we're at right now, right? So that's how you have sleep is 5. Sleep is 5, because the 5th force is activated when you sleep. This physical body dies and returns to the ether, which is where your etheric body then takes over, which is why the mantra for the solar plexus, the letter is U, which is the 3, but it's choose, yeah, and you can feel it. I can feel it then, right? That activates it. So it's activating telepathy. This is how you're activating telepathy within oneself. So you are the device. We are the device. There's so much knowledge that can be given. We're only just beginning, right? So this is why no, yeah, it's 11. But 11 is the 11th month, because they have this the festival of death with this Papa Lekba here. The festival of death here, this Baron Samedi, is in November the 2nd, which is the 11th month, yeah. Because it's the masculine force, so it's the masculine number 11th, which is, so NO, nitric oxide, is gonna equal F equals Fe, which is fire, which is iron in your fire, in your iron, which is fire in your blood, which is your iron. The word weird actually means supernatural. It meant supernatural. We've changed it. So everything to us people in this place, oh, it's weird. It's weird. It's weird because they're in that robotic hive mind fashion. So there's a film called Mind Gamers, and it puts beings in the into this robotic computerized thing, but it hooks them up to a computer called Enoch, yeah? And in it there's a demiurge. There's a guy that creates this Enoch, he's a demiurge, and there's the Sophia character in it in her elevated fashion, not in her shadow, not in her Jahi or Jahi, yeah, or Maman Brigade, Bridget, Maman Bridget Brigade, Maman Bridget, or Tanit, or any of these, yeah. this is what's happened here. They've allowed demons to come into this plane deliberately. Yeah, it's just a byproduct of how this come about. Yeah, and so that's what I was just saying there. So in that film, what happens is, yeah, in Mind Gamers, which comes up like this, yeah, the beings in it get plugged up to this demiurgic hive mind, and it wants to take over and turn them all into one thing. So they're all moving together. Like, I'll probably put it up. They're all in sync. They can't do their own thing because they're all attached to this hive mind. And then she comes and changes it, and changes this demiurgic using the archetype of a lighter archetype. Yeah, and she changes it so that instead of this computer, this Enoch computer doing dark and creating this hive mind and controlling everybody, it then does the opposite for everybody, and it then flourishes and encourages liberation and good and love for all things. So in the end of this, what we're eventually saying is that all things have to be led towards transmutation, and all things will eventually return back to a more supreme, lighter, loving, elevated state of being. So peace, love, and attentiveness, and we'll see you in the next one.